and welcome to Infamous, the audio podcast. This is Brandon, or Mutilus on the forum.
And this is Parker. Go by Dr. Mantis Toboggan MD on the forums.
You don't go by fucking Mantis fucking nothing, doctor, anybody. This is Jeremy. I created a forum name, so everybody knows it's my first and last name. There's pictures of 3 credit cards and my social security number to follow. That way people know it's me. Is that what you're supposed to do?
Well, I mean, you don't want to be mistaken for somebody else on the forum.
Exactly. That's me.
Yeah. Anybody can just claim to be Jermiger Constagon.
Exactly.
But you want them to know that's the real Jermiger Constagon.
Yeah.
That's my point. Thank you.
I have zero sympathy for the people that get baited in by those phishing posts. I don't. Well, there's so many that aren't even phishing posts. They're just like farms to get like activity rating on Facebook for ads, and it's like, you've been kidnapped. In the last television show you watched, main characters trying to save you. How will you fare? I'm like, are you an idiot? Literally, the name of the question they just asked you is, what TV show did you just watch? And you felt like compelled to engage with them. Like, I don't understand. It's so stupid. I wish I could just delete Facebook.
Listen, we know that you're Team Edward. Just shut the fuck up about it, okay?
Yeah.
I don't even know what that means.
Yes, you do.
I don't. What does it mean?
No, I'm not doing it. I'm not getting baited into this.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for joining us today. Obviously, we're very on topic. We got some quick announcements. Parker, you're down to 185 probationary episodes remaining. Good job. You're chipping away pretty well.
I feel good.
You said 0 buzzwords during the last one, but we've added a new buzzword. So this should be interesting.
Is it a secret? Do I have to find out?
It's a 1-letter word. So good luck.
Oh, jeez.
Good luck. Time starts now.
Yeah. There's not a lot of them, but it comes up a lot.
Yeah. Is it an article? That would be no fun. That would be no fun.
Yeah. Alrighty. So, Parker, what do you got for us?
I got news.
News.
The news is all good. None of it's bad.
I have bad news.
Oh, well, the good news here then. We know this actually may have happened before our last podcast, but we thought we should mention it. Marvel Girl apparently is coming to the game. She has an official model. The one thing of note that we know about the model is that she'll actually come with 2 models. So the Embiggen thing, which is kind of her calling card.
Marvel Girl, it's Miss Marvel.
Sorry, you're right. Miss Marvel is I'm sorry. What am I thinking? Marvel Girl is Jean Grey's old name. My bad. Yes, Miss Marvel. My bad. Yes, but Miss Marvel is coming to the game.
Trying to whitewash Miss Marvel.
Kamala Khan is coming to the game, and she is, and apparently she's going to have 2 models. So, do we know who's coming first, her or Iron Man? Probably Iron Man, right?
We don't have release dates, but based on the product codes, I would imagine that the Hulkbuster will be out first.
Yeah. So if it holds, we'll have Wasp, Ant-Man, Hood, Iron Man with Hulkbuster, and
Miss
Marvel will be like the different, like the alternate
Transformers.
Yeah, the Transform models cars with different mechanics. But yeah, that's of note. But we don't know anything else about her. Are you excited, Jeremy, for Kamala in the game? You ready?
Miss Marvel joining. Oh God. I mean, listen.
We need more models that change size. That's what I know about this
I
game.
think if we could get more models. Wait a second. If we could just get more models that look stupid and Inhumans, I'm telling you, if we couldn't just, if there's a cherry on top of something, it's not this. This is a fucking poop flavored popsicle. Like, really? Really? You know who she is going to be too? She'll be fucking Avengers.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, she's in the Avengers video game, so of course she's going to be in Avengers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Also, she's a character in the Marvel Universe, so of course she's going to be in Avengers.
Yeah.
Ugh.
I feel like Justice League Unlimited only has like half as many characters as any Avengers team.
Yeah.
You know what? If they're not going to hand out, they better not hand out Flight to her, because I'm sick of seeing everybody with Flight. Just take Flight away. At least do that for me.
Well, you can play Falcon if you want to take Flight from people.
There you go.
You lose Flight. You lose Flight.
Yep.
So yeah, 4 thumbs down. Hater.
4 thumbs down. Yeah, I've never been a fan of Miss Marvel. I think the whole like change size superpower is really stupid. I don't know much about her backstory other than she's like, I don't know, an average teen from New York that gets superpowers. I don't know. Parker's giving me the signal that I got it right on my first guess.
Yep.
So.
she's
I mean, that's
she
the
really
whole
is.
Young Avengers team. It's like, hey, look, we went to high school in the inner city. These are the people we found. We gave them superpowers. I'm like, okay, like whatever. I just don't care.
She really is. She is a modern version of a Peter Parker story. Like it's very, very similar. Very much a modern story. You know, she's female, and she's. I actually don't know where she's from. Like in the country, is she from New York City? I'm guessing probably.
I'm pretty sure she's from New York because that's where the Avengers are, and I'm pretty sure she's in like the Avengers city. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's like, she could. I guess it could technically not be New York. I just assumed because that's where Avengers Tower is.
Yeah, but anyway,
it's kind of like Fantastic Four. Technically, the Fantastic Four operate everywhere, but it's 99% of the time that happens in New York.
Yep.
Because they don't want to write travel time into the storyline.
Yeah, they talk. They make fun of it in the Marvel universe sometime, where it's like, where's it happening? Definitely New York City. Like that's where something is happening. It's going to be New York City. Mm-hmm. There's never been a super. Also, for a long time in the Marvel universe, the story was the West Coast of the country was actually run completely by supervillains, but they weren't like overt and dangerous about it. They just,
it was like shadows and stuff.
Yeah. Well, also they were shadowy, but they were also like it's like the Joker from The Dark Knight. He's just like they only killed people that it was all part of the plan, right? If a few drug dealers die, who cares, right? They didn't go around killing mayors and robbing banks with scorpion costumes, so nobody stopped them. Nobody gave a shit. But
you don't want to cross the line of now intervention is required,
right? And
so you want to just keep right below the peace line, where it's like, well, you haven't started a war yet, so you're doing a good job,
right? Like why aren't there why aren't there bad guys in these other major population centers? Why is it only New York City?
Personal favorite is the plotline of every Batman storyline ever is the villains are just trying to get back to not having to deal with Batman, but Batman also only operates in Gotham City. Like, literally just move. Just fucking move, and you won't have to deal with Batman. It's so stupid.
Go anywhere else.
Yeah, literally go 2 counties away. Because they're always talking about Batman's always so busy because there's so much crime in Gotham. Just fucking leave.
Yeah. Well, that's why like Iron Man is actually kind of interesting because in every modern Iron Man comic, he's constantly globetrotting. Like he's constantly going everywhere. I think I can count on one hand how many times I've seen Iron Man fight somebody in New York City in a comic book, in the past 15 years. He's always going and doing something cool somewhere else.
Because you'd have to be a fucking idiot to do something big in fucking New York City.
Yeah.
It's like you have the Baxter Building and like fucking Avengers Tower right there.
You are blocks away from a major superhero at all times. Like what a bad idea. But.
Which bank should I rob? Let's see. This one's conveniently located on the corner of Baxter and Avengers Tower Lane.
Yeah, the Sanctum.
So this should clearly be a good place to rob. Right. Like, what could go wrong?
Bleecker Street is right around the corner. There's the Sanctum Sanctorum, like
Bleecker
right there.
Street's right over there. Yeah. We got fucking Scotland Yard outpost over here. Like, what is happening?
Yeah.
Who thought this through?
Yeah. The bar with no doors. Fucking New York City. Like everybody, everything.
Parker. That's where we're robbing.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like, that's what we're trying to rob. Is the bar with no doors.
That makes sense. See how that works out for you.
Yeah, also it's a Kingpin-owned bank.
Yeah. Yes. And that's the other thing. Even criminals have to steal from other criminals. That's who owns everything's a shell company for the Kingpin or Mysterio or somebody. Or, Oscorp, who's stealing from Norman Osborn, right? Like, what an fucking idiot. So, like, I don't know. Yeah, it's obviously a snake that eats his own tail. More news. Here we go. More news. I don't know how we got down the other road. Okay. Convocation tactics cards. We got Convocation tactics cards.
That sounds fun. Surely these are going to be like heave-ho, right?
Yeah. All of them are
nice and easy.
Well, first of them is, actually, this is the thing about Convocation. It's a very complicated faction. So, actually, one card just begins the heave-ho, and then a second card completes the heave-ho. So if you meet all the requirements of HeFo on the first card, then with the second card you may complete the HeFo. However, one of the cool things about it is you can flip the first card back over, and you can use that first card again to start another HeFo if you so desire. That's what they do. No, that's not what they do at all. But they do have some interesting stuff. So I feel like there's the Book of Cagliostro, which is a direct nod to the book he's reading in the first Doctor Strange movie. Convocation, active. Choose a Convocation character. The chosen character and 2 other characters within range 3 of it may spend 2 power each to play this card. So a grand total of 6 power spread out amongst 3 characters within range 3 of the central character that's actually getting the benefit of the card. Remove the activated token from the chosen character. During the cleanup phase, you may discard 2 Team Tactics cards. If you do, return this card to your available Team Tactics cards. This card may be played again this game.
Trash. No, I'm just kidding.
I wasn't listening. Say that again.
Yeah.
No, I mean like
start
chaos.
I mean, it's still nowhere near as bad as fucking Mind War or whatever that fucking card is.
Yeah. Actually, at first glance, this card you see the second sentence, which is, remove the activated token from the chosen character, and you immediately kind of, your jaw drops a little bit. But then when you start looking at the other things, you go, okay, well, this is actually not.
It's Cosmic Invigoration, but instead of dealing damage, you have to have a second person.
Right.
But the second person, you have to have 3 people, but it's within range 3. Range 3 is a long way. Mm-hmm. And so it's a lot. I think it's actually going to be pretty easy to pull off.
I think using it on like a model like Dormammu, where you're like, okay, he's going to go again, bitches.
You literally cannot play this on Dormammu.
Oh, yeah, it's Convocation. I keep thinking it's...
Yeah, because you cannot play Convocation with Dormammu.
Yeah.
I like this because it stops a lot of this bullshit. You don't have to worry about it.
Yeah. Cosmic Invigoration, that can be played on anybody, right? As long as you're playing Cabal, right? That's not just...
it's Cabal. Yeah.
Yeah. So this
you can only remove the checkmark from a Convocation character, which is, I think, what Parker is pointing out.
Yeah. So, like, the fact that, like, at first glance, you're like, oh, man, Book of Cagliostro, so tilting, and then you compare it to other cards in the game that do something similar, but are more universal, have a lot less opportunity costs, and in a faction that also does well with the second activation because you love having more power and more damage. It's just good. It's just good. I don't think it's over the top. I think it's well balanced. I think, but it will go off. I think you're right, Brandon. It's not a Rube Goldberg machine. I think it will go off.
Yeah, I think it will too. But the thing I wanted to point out was the last bit there, during the cleanup phase, you may discard 2 Team Tactics cards. Mm-hmm. So that's 3 total cards down, because at the time you're using that ability, this card's already been used. And so,
right.
That's a lot of tactics cards get the reuse part.
Right. Now, speaking of reuse, can I talk about the synergy to one of the other cards? Because there is some little synergy in here.
Yeah, go ahead.
The Ironbound books of Shuma Gorath. If you guys don't know Shuma Gorath, he's a fun Doctor Strange villain that pops up a bunch. He also popped up in Thor comics. He's a giant cosmic. Think of him like an old god for the Marvel Universe. Convocation active. A Convocation character may spend 2 power during the power phase to play this card. This round, when an enemy targets an allied character with a physical attack, you may choose to change the attack's type to mystical. When an allied character is KO'd, after the effect is resolved, you may return this card to your available Team Tactics cards. This card may be played again this game. This is my favorite of the 3 that were revealed. I love this card. I don't know how impactful it'll be in the game. I think it'll be list dependent a bunch.
This is going to be an auto include.
Yeah.
This is going to be the one everyone takes.
Right. It is. I love the idea of taking the characters. Like, also, it really helps if you're playing Convocation characters. A lot of them have high Mystic Defense, but you also have those super high Mystic Defensors across the game, like Mysterio, Enchantress, all these really powerful characters that are tilted to Mystic, and you can get around them in some way. But here you just can't if you're shooting them, at least with a physical attack. So,
yeah,
a lot of cool stuff to do with this.
Well, first of all, it works for the entire round.
Yep.
And then it's anytime any enemy targets one of your characters with a physical attack.
Yes.
That's huge.
Yep.
There's a lot of characters in this game that don't have anything else.
Mm-hmm.
And so it still leaves you open to energy, but a lot of these people have decent energy defense, if not still as good as their Mystic. Yeah, this is incredible.
Also, it says you may choose to change it.
Yes.
So if you have your favorite Convocation character who has a really good other defense and you don't want to change the Mystic, you can. So you can have 3 great characters with a great Mystic defense and one other character that doesn't, but who cares? You don't have to make that happen.
So also I wanted to point out that this works on all characters, all allied characters, so you can start bringing in other characters that aren't in Convocation that have good Mystic defense. People like Mysterio or Enchantress or maybe even Magneto. It brings a lot of other options in for you.
Yeah, I think it's a super cool card. I also, at first when you read that when an allied character is KO'd, you can bring it back. I think it should read, you'll probably play this card 2 times a game, maybe. I feel like you'll probably play it on turn 2, turn 4, maybe turn 6. Like that's kind of what it should read. But.
Yeah, 2 or 3 times I think it's gonna be standard, or at least once. But like we just talked about, this is going to be the card you throw away for the other card,
right? Because
you're going to be able to turn this one back over.
Yes,
and so yeah, you'll. And did we clarify the used cards are discarded? Correct? Did we ever clarify that? Should I check that?
I get no. I never. We didn't clarify that because in our games we usually take the card and just flip it over to indicate that it's gone.
Right. I'm pretty sure it's the same terminology because this says you may return this card to your available Tactics cards, and then the other one said you may discard 2 Team Tactics cards to return this card to your available Team Tactics cards. So I don't know if there's a difference between used or played and discarded.
Yeah,
I don't know if there's a difference. That's the only question I had. Because if a card is used and you could still discard it, that would be amazing.
Yeah, that would. Well,
and I don't think that would be the case.
Yeah, I don't think Cagliostro is going to let you I want to use Brace for Impact, but later turn it into trash for Book of Cagliostro. Right. I think that's.
Well, I mean, you never know. It might be intended to be that way, but I'll go ahead and read it. You go ahead and keep talking about it.
Okay, that could be interesting, kind of, because it would force you to. It would force you to use the card before you discard it to get a maximum value, but that seems really strong.
That's not a thing. Come on now.
Okay. So the last Convocation card that is super cool. What a Swiss Army knife, but it's not. It's the Wand of Watum. Also incredibly iconic artifact from the Marvel Universe. The Wand of Watum has shown up so many times in various. Both the sought after as a reward, but also used as a weapon. One of my favorite uses of it is in one of the newer comics, Doom shows up with it, and Dr. Strange goes, "That's the Wand of Watum," and he goes, "Yes." And he goes, "Then what's the one back in my Sanctum Sanctorum?" He goes, "Not the Wand of Watum." just like what? How you had this the whole time? What have I been using? And he goes, "I don't know." Not the Wand of Watum. This is the Wand of Watum. Anyway, so the Wand of Watum has actually 3 different things they can do. So a Convocation character can spend 2 to play one of the following effects. This character may use an Elemental Blast attack, which is a range 5, 7 dice on a wild. After this attack is resolved, the target character gains Incinerate, Shock, and Slow. Super strong.
All 3, not like the Star-Lord version.
Yep. Or if you don't want to use
point of order, it is an energy attack.
It is an energy attack, yes. Or second option, this character may reroll 2 dice in its defense rolls this round, so the whole round, which is fairly strong, especially if you have somebody who can use those rerolls. This character may use a superpower that is normally limited to once per turn, a second time this activation, paying all costs as normal. So if you have anybody with super premium superpowers, we're going to talk about one here in a second, because really good superpower coming up in our new Doctor Strange, who just got revealed, but all kinds of superpowers in the game that you would love to be able to do twice that now you can with Wand of Watum if you have the power to do so. The one thing about that third one, is I feel like unless you have a really specific use for it, and maybe a Rube Goldberg machine for it, I feel like the third one may be used less than the others.
Yeah.
Just because you have to spend 2 to use it, and most powers in the game cost like probably an average of 2 is my guess. So like having to okay, I'm going to use my power, that costs 2. Then I'm going to use Wonderful Tomb, that also costs 2, and now use it again, that costs 2. Like that's a lot to make 2 powers happen. And that better be amazing. It better be game winning, but maybe it is.
Well, I mean, Mordo has some pretty cool abilities.
Yep. I was also thinking,
and he gets a lot of power.
I was also thinking, you're right. I was also thinking somebody like I don't know if Quicksilver has 6 power, he can do his dash twice. That'd be pretty cool.
You cannot play this card.
Oh, you're right. Only Convocation characters. There you go. You're right.
Or else I would be talking like Thanos or something, probably.
Right.
I mean, hold on a second. Hold on 1 second. I have to pull up the affiliation list real quick.
I don't know if we have.
I think you are correct, but okay. We'll talk about this later. I'm not going to talk about that right now.
Okay, because
I have to talk about other. I have to talk about other stuff first.
Okay, because we don't have the Convocation list yet. We don't know who's
correct.
So, this is another cool card. I don't know. Do you feel like this makes the cut? Does this make a cut?
No.
I don't think so.
No, I think this is a lot like Whims of Chaos. You make this in your list about 3 or 4 times in a row when you're first playing, and then you realize quickly that a 7 dice attack is not that great when it only does cool stuff on a wild. And then the using a second power for a second time is pretty garbage unless you have a really, really, really good one. And then the 2 defense dice is nice, but it's not the most important. You would just play Inspiring Monologue if
I was
you
going
cared
to say
that much about 2 dice.
Yeah, I was going to say Inspiring Monologue is just stronger. So
yeah. Now combining this with the Ironbound books of Gorath or whatever it's called, that could be cool because if I'm making it Mystic and re-rolling 2 dice, well now that's changing everything.
Right, the Shuma Gorath. Yeah,
but again, like if we're doing 2 cards, like I expect you to not die, so whatever.
Right. Also, the one thing with this is if we've talked oftentimes about like doubling down. One of the things that we know about Inspiring Monologue is Inspiring Monologue actually reads on it. It doesn't say rerolling dice. It says this character will not be attacked for the rest of this round. People just won't bother. So the Wand of Atum kind of says the same thing. So if you really, 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 really didn't want somebody to die for 2 rounds, it would make it very difficult. So it's not that it has no value for that, especially maybe if you were willing to double down and do Inspiring Monologue also. But you'd have to have a character that you think would greatly benefit from being difficult enough to remove that players just won't bother.
Yeah, I think you run into that skirting the line pretty quickly, where it's just like, well, they're already not attacking you, so it doesn't matter that you've made it even harder to kill.
Right. It's
like what happens when you Vapor Valtors and Inspiring Monologue Captain America. You're like, same thing as when you Inspiring Monologue him, nobody attacks him. It just doesn't matter. At least he has Bodyguard though, so it's at least a question.
Right. But this does this at least does it for 2 turns, right? So if you could get that effect for 2 turns on a model, maybe you really want it. But
you mean if you have the other card too?
Yes, if you did Inspiring Monologue and Wand of Atum.
That's exactly the point. You would just do Vapors of Valtor and then later on the next round do Inspiring Monologue. You wouldn't do them both.
Right. That's what I meant.
Wasteful.
Yes.
Yeah.
You would not,
I agree.
Yeah, you would not pop both on the same turn. To get longevity out of the effect of the pseudo invulnerability that the card functionally gives you, because a lot of people you just go, okay, well you put a defensive effect on that character, so I just won't bother. I'm going to go somewhere else.
I think there's some of these cards that will be much more interesting when they start like eliminating sets, if that's what they're going to do. Because I mean, this is its own set, or the people who are purists that just want to play. I just play these cards with these guys. That's kind of interesting too. But yeah, I mean, it does some cool stuff, but all other cards do stuff like better. I don't know. I'm not super psyched.
So, another thing about these cards is this faction is I don't know. Do we catch it in the pre-ramble? We were talking a little about this faction before we started casting. That this is one of those factions that will have so many options and so many tools and so many things going on that they won't fail you. You'll fail them. Like you didn't put your finger on all the buttons. You didn't go up, up, down, down, left, right, start A. Like you didn't do it exactly right. So you were the one who didn't get it right, not them. They had options, so they are just giving them so many things. A fantastic like group defensive buff with Shuma Gorath. An awesome way to get double activations out of characters. Even the Wand of Atum, even though it's, the power level is a little bit lower, it is a great, again, so many options, right? What do you want to do? Well, it does whatever you wanted to do. If you chose correctly, then you're going to get great effects out of it, which is, I think, definitely the theme of the faction. Are we ready for the big boy? Their big boy? Most likely, we assume Convocation's big boy.
Oh, yeah.
So, we have Doctor Strange, Sorcerer Supreme, which, by the way, just the title, got to stop right there. It finally stops Brandon's great conundrum. I don't know if you guys have listened to podcasts past 2 or 3 episodes, but he's been very, very concerned about how Doctor Strange's title will affect his ability in different factions. So we now know.
I'm only mad because they refused to say what it was.
Yeah. So the original one is Doctor Strange. This one is Doctor Strange, Sorcerer Supreme, which is huge difference. Huge difference, but it is a difference.
I can't think of a single time other than this that they've not put the title of the character on the box.
Yeah. Well, it is a ton of letters. Like, when you look at this, it is a ridiculous amount of letters.
Yeah, but the Amazing Spider-Man made it on.
Mm-hmm. Which is
anyway,
a lot.
Go ahead.
Anyway. So, the Doctor Strange, Sorcerer Supreme, he is a 5-cost character. He's got 6 health on the front and the back. He, in fact, is identical on the front and the back. He has movement medium, size 2, and he has 3 physical defense, 3 energy, and 5 mystic. His first attack, the Baleful Bolts of Balthak, which will never be called that.
I was talking about. You have a dirty mind.
It's the 12-year-old in me.
Yeah. It's a range 3, 5 dice. You do gain power for every damage dealt. It has Pierce on a Wild. However, even though he does have a basic attack, he has a second basic that's even more basicer. I love the second.
Not basic. What are you talking about?
I know it's not a basic attack.
It's literally not a basic.
I know it isn't, but but we'll find out later why I think he's going to treat it like one a lot. Deadly Daggers of Davaroth, because we love alliteration. Range 5, 6 dice, 1 power cost. Before choosing a target, this character chooses whether his attack type is physical, energy, or mystic. So he gets to choose. If this attack deals damage after this attack is resolved, the character gains poison instantly. And so finally, the last one is very much a holy healing circle from Dungeons & Dragons, World of Warcraft. Take your pick. It is a mystic attack that's area 2, 7 dice for 6 power. But allied characters in range of this attack do not suffer damage. However, they do get cool stuff. If you roll a wild, after each attack is resolved, remove 1 special condition from this character and each allied character within that area too. Also, if you roll a wild and a defense on your attack, after each attack is resolved, remove 1 damage from this character and each allied character within 2. So it does have a really bad power to damage dice ratio that we've seen for most attacks in the game. It doesn't do anything negative to your opponents, but it does have a bunch of really interesting attacks. A bunch of interesting stuff that buffs people next to you while you're doing it.
An AoE 2 for 7 dice is about on track for 6 power.
Really? I feel like...
Yeah. It's the exact same thing as Thor's attack.
Oh. But the Thor's attack does also do a bunch of negative effects, right? It does some things to you.
It does a bunch of negative effects.
Doesn't it?
Here, let me read the text for you real quick. No text.
That's it? Seriously?
It's AoE 2, 7 dice for 6 power. Literally does not have a gray box below it.
Fuck Thor. Jesus Christ.
Fuck you. Get your shit right.
Oh man, I can't believe it. Okay, well I thought spending 6 power to get 7 dice attack is bad, but maybe I'm way wrong and it's super good in this game. So you heard it here first. You pay 1 power for each attack dice, plus 1.
I feel confident in saying this. This attack will get used more often than God of Thunder.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's true. So I do want to stop for a second and talk about the attacks. But there is one passive ability that I think bears mentioning before we talk about it, because at first glance you look at this and you go, okay, well, he has two nearly basic range attacks, but one of them costs power. What gives? He does have a passive ability called Chosen of the Vishanti, which is, during the power phase, this character gains 2 additional power. So he's a 3 power a turn character without any Infinity Stones. So now I feel like we can talk about his attacks, because it makes more
let's
sense.
not break it. Let's just talk about all the stuff.
Really?
We'll talk about what we think about it. Yeah,
Okay.
There's no point in talking about one of the powers and then not talking about the other ones, because there's multiple other powers that will affect his stuff too.
Okay. So the Scalpel of Strange, which is an awesome ability name. I've never heard this in any comics, but 4 power. Choose this character or character within range 2 and place it within 3 of its current position. A character can be placed by the superpower only once per turn. So he has a self or other place 3 for steep cost of 4 power. The Eye of Agamotto, which is identical to his other one, right? This character can modify and reroll skulls, which is failed dice results. This character may reroll all of its attack or defense dice only once per attack. So if they attack you once, you can reroll everything in defense. If you attack, you can reroll everything in attack once. And
yeah, it seems verbatim.
Yep. Which I'm glad. I like that. I like that the artifact just does exactly what the artifact does. Finally, the Mystic Armor of Strange, which is, I think, supposed to explain the new get-up, which I love this costume. When this character is defending against a energy or mystic attack, for each wild in the defense roll, it may change one of the attacker's crits, wilds, or hit results to a blank. This character gains 1 power for each die changed this way. So if this sounds familiar, it is Captain Marvel's energy absorption ability, only it works on energy or mystic. And it works awesome again with that Shuma Gorath tactics card, because you can change everything physical to mystic. And if they try to use energy, it also works. So you want to talk about somebody who is going to be really hard to kill on Shuma Gorath turns. I think Strange, between re-rolling and absorbing things with wilds, and like the anti-pierce, right? Turning things from hits to blanks and gaining power. Also, he has Jeremy's favorite passive ability, Flight.
Everybody has Flight.
Which
Crossbones doesn't have Flight.
Every time there's a new Flight character, Captain Sam's stock goes up. You can use more power. You use his tactics card more times.
This guy's really cool. I do think it's funny that this Mystic Armor of Strange thing, I want to read that and then replace everything with MODOK's ability and just be like, give me that.
This might be better.
I don't know.
But look at it, though, because you get to choose which die is changed. You can just change their wild to a blank.
Mm-hmm.
If you roll a wild, though, right?
If you roll a wild. But he has rerolls, and he's going to be rolling 3 to 5 dice.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's going to happen. Yeah, it's not automatic. It is not automatic. But he also has more defense dice than MODOK does, so that's going to be relevant. I think this guy's going to be a son of a bitch to kill.
Oh, yeah, he's serious.
Also, you want to talk about one of those characters that, I don't know if you play Wand of Tomb or Inspiring Monologue, but man, Jesus, how mean would that be? Because he gets to reroll for Inspiring Monologue, he gets to roll for Eye of Agamotto, and by the way, while he's rerolling all that stuff, he's rerolling skulls too. So you're never losing a dice. Like, I don't know how you kill this guy on a Shuma Gorath turn if you also are willing to pay a tactics card.
This is going. I didn't talk about it during the tactics card section, but this is actually going to bring a whole new card back to the meta that was never meta that wanted to be. Psychic Shielding Device.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's on mystic attacks, you add a defense die.
Yeah.
And so if you're changing every physical attack to mystic attacks, in addition to the fact that your stuff can't be moved, you're also getting extra defense dice, which could be really cool.
Yeah.
I don't know if it will be good enough to make the cut, but I think it'll be an option.
But by the my general opinion of this guy is I really like him / don't like him. And this is, you're like, how is that possible? It's because this is what I wanted the first Doctor Strange to be. Just like a super strong blaster type character who walks up to characters, with more points than him and eats them for lunch. I love that idea of somebody who just, dishes out tons of pain. But the first Doctor Strange was very much, a controller, manipulator who could do some chip damage, but mostly it was just about, supporting yourself and, hurting and controlling your opponent. One of the things when I read this guy, the first thing I thought was, does this character make the other one go obsolete? Obviously not, right? Because they fill different roles. But he has so many things that the other one does, but the other one doesn't kill people, and he does. So
I actually disagree. I think the other guy's a better blaster.
Really?
Yeah. Now, I guess he doesn't do more damage, but being able to push... I guess I'm just thinking about the value of his control power.
Mm-hmm.
But, I don't know. It's hard to say. Yeah, this guy will probably do more damage. I just feel like the other Strange does so much because he has the extra turn because of the Time Stone. I think there's a very specific reason this guy can't take the Time Stone.
Well, yeah, but I also think that's one of the key themes of him, right? The other Strange said 5 points on him, but he was never actually 5 points. He was never going to be 5 points. Maybe somebody thought he could be one day, but he's not. He's a 6-point character or a 7-point character always. He's always a 7.
He is a 7.
He's a 7-point character, right? And so since he's a 7-point character, they just gave this guy more power per turn base. Of course, the other Doctor Strange can get lots too. More power per turn base, more survivability base ish. If you
how much? The power per turn doesn't matter to me because I would spend 5 power a turn to get a third action. So, that's not relevant to me. But I understand what you're saying.
Right. So, my thing about the reason I really like this Doctor Strange, no doubt about it. I really like this version of Doctor Strange from what I wanted Doctor Strange to be. However, I don't know how he coexists with the other Doctor Strange, other than that I guess you just want to play Defenders or Convocation, and that'll be the choice you make. You play the Strange that comes with the faction you want, the affiliation you want. But I'm struggling to put them in the same game.
No, they're very different. When I first read this guy, I was actually very disappointed. But the more I read him, the more I think he'll be fine. I think he's going to be a solid character. I don't know that he'll be game pressing like the other Doctor Strange is.
Mm-hmm.
The original Doctor Strange is very good, but it's really that he abuses mechanics in the game, which makes him so powerful. The combination of the Time Stone and his ability to give people activated tokens is unparalleled in the game. His ability to manipulate turn order and stuff is insane.
Mm-hmm.
This guy doesn't have any of that, but he has a lot of other cool stuff.
I mean, we haven't talked about it, but that Scalpel of Strange is ridiculous.
It's fucking nuts. It's
range 3 places are real far.
Also, it doesn't
real
say
far.
It doesn't say friendly. It's just character.
Oh my god, I didn't even read that.
It doesn't say friendly. Everybody who read this, I think every person who reads this card first goes, "Oh wow, what a cool support ability," and then you're like, "No. You want that thing way the fuck over there on the other side of that building."
I don't know if it's that easy to use because it's only range 2 though.
I think it's for exactly somebody coming at you, right? I don't know how often you're going to proactively use Strange for it, but you could. If Strange was your life activator, you could do it. But
yeah, I mean, you might use it to secure a control point, but realistically, the only time you're going to use it on an enemy is when you're feeding somebody.
Mm-hmm. But also, Deadly Daggers, there is one thing I like about this character mechanically a lot, which is 3 power turn base. So Deadly Daggers of Davaroth, even though you're not netting power with it like you will with Baleful Bolts, it's still maybe the first attack you use every turn. Maybe the only attack you use every turn. I love that. I love it. I love this range 5, 6 dice. Choose your attack type. Automatically poison. It's just I love that the daggers are what you can go for, unlike a lot of other characters in the game where their 1-cost attack is going to put you behind the curve. I'm thinking like Domino. I love Domino's grenade, but it actually puts her behind. She can't do a lot of the stuff she wants to do if she's constantly throwing grenades. But the fact that Strange gets 3 power a turn minimally if you never attack him, because if you attack him, not only could he be gaining damage from being damaged, or gaining power from being damaged, but if you don't damage him with a mystic or energy attack, he could still be gaining power because he's rolling wilds. So I love how often he'll be able to use the deadly daggers and not feel like he's sacrificing other things he could be doing with his power. I love it.
I just think it's funny that Cable is going to shoot him and then he gets shot back.
Yeah, exactly.
Without models moving.
Yes.
Like, oh no.
Yep. Yeah, his...
You got hit with a dagger, bitch.
Yep.
I disagree about your power assessment, but I'll cover that later.
Why later? You tell me right now. What's wrong?
No, I'll tell you later.
Okay. Wait. I love that you're keeping so many secrets.
Well,
Yeah.
he basically is
Well,
saying
I don't want to talk about this out of order.
all
Okay.
models, and you always take a 9-point list or a 9-model list, and then include Dormammu. He's just flooded with power on every list you ever take from now on.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's flush. He's P. Diddy shrimping vessel flush.
Exactly.
Okay. Oh, speaking of that, so Doctor Strange, a lot of us are staring at it for Convocation, but I think this Strange is also a strong blaster for a lot of other lists, a lot of other affiliations. If you wanted a blaster, I think, does he blast as hard as Scarlet Witch, do you think? Does he stand there and kill people as hard as Scarlet
His
Witch?
dice aren't as good.
No, Scarlet Witch hits noticeably harder. Now, Scarlet Witch is less mobile and has shorter range, but as a pure turret, yeah, she does way more damage.
Even with
even
with the full reroll, you think?
Yeah, because the full reroll doesn't change the math; it just removes the duds.
Mm-hmm.
The statistics of the single attack roll are about the same. It's just that you get. We've talked about in this game that now I'm not saying that's not valuable because getting more attempts, like if you could just stand there and do 5 dice attacks 6 or 7 times in a row and pick your favorite, you just kill everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a reason like you can't do that. Like people that get to fully redo the attack rolls, and it's actually a little bit better than that because you could hit like 2 crits and nothing else and then re-roll the extra crit dice. Now it's an 8 dice attack that can't crit. But yeah, the second attack roll not getting crits means that it is just a reroll.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'd say,
yeah.
Speaking from somebody who's played a lot of X-Wing, if anyone's ever played Han Solo, there's a reason why Han Solo, Millennium Falcon still sees the table after year 13 or 14. Is because re-rolling all your attack dice is so it's always good.
I'd hate to break it to you, Parker. Well, it's good because D8s, right? D8s.
That's what I said. D8. Yeah.
But I'd actually hate to break to you. He's actually not played a lot right now because nobody plays X-Wing.
Oh.
Damn.
Nobody you know except
Fucking
me.
He walked right into
nobody
that
but me plays X-Wing. The point is that it feels good whenever you have a character that can reroll every time for the reason you just said. When you think about it, okay, it's a 6-turn game. The maximum number of dice my character might roll for my attacks is, 2 attacks worth of dice a turn unless I have some effect. So the fact that Doctor Strange says I'm going to roll, if I just sit there and turret, I'm rolling, upwards of the same dice everybody else is rolling, just double the time, right? You're just, instead of rolling it 12 times max, you're rolling it 24 times max, which is just feels great.
Mm-hmm. It's especially broken if you can bring in the other reroll mechanics into it, because if you're adding even just like a Zemo reroll on top of it, that changes the math dramatically, because now you're getting pick between 2 rolls and then getting an extra reroll on top, and it becomes very consistent at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think actually the best things about this guy are obviously the scalpel, the being able to place somebody range 3, and then the mystic armor is the hands down the best things about him.
Mm-hmm.
I guess, although we're probably kind of ignoring Eye of Agamotto because we've seen it before. If this was a new ability, we'd be going crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's that good.
He has a ton of stuff. I mean, I love characters that do have a ton of things. He's got, different levers to pull depending on what's happening, which is cool.
And most importantly, he's actually a 5-point character, so you're going to get to actually have the other 2 points.
Yeah.
Yeah, he seems like one that you can just put in the category of he's probably a 5.5. Like, he seems really strong for a 5.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, coming around to like the topic of like, would you take him as a generic blaster? I think you still would take MODOK over him. Because as a blaster, now sure, as a support model, because the other Strange does a little bit of supporting, but the supporting he does is like very passive supporting. Like he heals people, he adds a little bit of defense dice. This guy moves people. That's completely different than what we've seen before as a support model. Like, being able to move an enemy away from your ranks. It's like, oh no, he's engaged with Mordo. What am I going to do? Teleport that idiot over there so he can't attack Mordo. You're like, oh, well that changes
I don't know if that'd be... When I think support, I think, like, helping allies, right? So
right, well,
we have tons of
friends as well.
Yeah, we have tons. You're right, but we have tons of characters that can move friends. But we have lots of characters that can move friends. But we don't have. I think what we don't have is somebody who can move a controller like this that says range 3 place. That doesn't exist in the game, right? There's not a controller that does that.
Yeah, there are a bunch of controllers. Well, they don't say range 3 place, but they like move people medium and stuff, which is pretty similar.
Right. But those are generally throws, right? Or pushes. And throws and pushes are subject to terrain. He just says, no, go away.
Sure, but it's also a very restricted place. Like, it's within 2, it costs 4, it's on a premium model. It's not like Wong's running up there and teleporting people.
No.
Yeah.
No, I'm not saying you're getting it on a stick. He's got that. This is one of the things he does.
This feels a little bit like you kind of combined like Wong and like Cable together.
No, I don't think that at all, because I think Doctor Strange is Doctor Strange literally has one of the things Wong does, which is heal, and he's got one of the things Cable does, which is add 2 dice. I feel like the other Doctor Strange, the original, is actually like a combination of Cable and Wong, actually.
Yeah, maybe that's true. But I'm just looking at him and I don't know. There's not really a clear comparison of another model in the game, but I don't see him as a pure damage dealer. His damage is above average, but you expect that for a 5-point model. Mm-hmm. His support is non-traditional support because he's got a really strong place effect that's only once per turn. And then, other than that, it's very minimal support. It's mostly like support himself stuff.
Yeah, the Shining Circle of the Seraphim is weird. I think that'll be one of those that maybe you'll have 1 in 3 games where you heal 2 characters at the same time. Like, we did it! But like that's
I think the fun part's going to be like there's a mosh pit in the middle, and like you get to go first, and so Strange teleports himself into the middle of the mess, and it's like blah circle, and he's just like boom explosion magic. And you're like, oh damn it! Like it's gonna be like not Deadpool, Daredevil. It's gonna be like Daredevil. The one time he gets to use this thing, you're like, oh, he did it! Yeah, wow, I got caught by it.
That was good.
You're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I really like. Of all the Convocation models I've seen so far, we're assuming Mordo's in that. I was excited for Mordo and X-Force, but he is the most I'm excited about in Convocation, just because I really like this version of him. I think it's super cool.
All right. Anything else you want to talk about this guy? All right, moving on. What is next on the docket? We have
sort of news, a little bit of news, which is it's not really this game news, but we just had hot off the presses. There's a new tactical RPG coming out, Midnight Suns, which has got Marvel IP in it. It's made by the same guys who did the XCOM series, so it's likely going to be turn-based grid, tactical RPG. We don't know precisely. 7 days from the recording of this podcast, they're going to be releasing gameplay to find out more, but it will be, again, themed with, magic is going to be the Marvel magic will be the central figure. So one more layer of the Marvel IP, just, coding everything to make sure everyone's excited about, Spider-Man's got Doctor Strange in it, Doctor Strange movie coming out, and every just magic dripping from every Marvel thing that you possibly can.
Well, Marvel tends to try and line up their releases, and so like when WandaVision came out, there's a bunch of WandaVision stuff in the video games, and so like when Midnight Suns is coming up, and there's going to be a video game, there's going to be some kind of visual media, like either a movie or television show. It's going to be basically centered in this storyline. And then also a bunch of the other video games that are already out are doing Midnight Sun type stuff. Much like Dormammu. Like when Dormammu was announced in this game, within a week it was announced in Marvel Strike Force. And it's like, yeah, we get it. Like you're trying to line everything up. Good job. Like that's always fun when you can feel like what you're doing is interacting with other storylines and stuff.
Yeah.
And so the fact that Midnight Suns is going to be a video game and probably part of the Doctor Strange movie, it looks pretty cool. Yeah, so I would look to see more Midnight Suns type stuff in other things as well.
Kind of side news. We finally got our hands on the Symbiote event.
Separation Anxiety Organized Play Kit.
Yep. So if you have not seen the Separation Anxiety Organized Play Kit and you know your local game store has it, it looks hella fun.
I can give a quick summary about it.
Go for it.
It is a 4-person free-for-all game. It's a battle royale where each person comes to the game. You pay an entry fee. You get given one of each of the, I think it's 10 or 12 symbiote upgrade cards, which are basically infinity stones for like the concept of them. But there'll be objective tokens on the board. And when you interact with one of the objective tokens, you will gain a symbiote, and you'll draw one out of like the deck. And then you'll just put that down, and that character will have that symbiote. And it gives them new superpowers based on which symbiote it is. And it looks really cool. And then you just kill everybody.
Yeah. If you get a chance to peruse them, of course, Antivenom's in there, Carnage, Venom, so all the main ones, but also some ones that I had never heard of before. My favorite is Manic. Manic was good. Yeah, Manic is very simple. This character gains speed long. Like, that's it.
Wah, wah, wah.
Didn't she get stealth as well?
You're right. No, I thought the stealth one also had hit and run or something like that.
Yeah, it was hit and run and stealth.
Yeah.
Is it Mayhem was the one that you get like the spend 2 power, gain 2 attack dice, and also gain like reroll attack dice?
Yeah, it was something.
It was like crazy damage output.
Yeah.
Venom gives you symbiotic instincts, and all your attacks do bleed.
And Progenitor, which is all the other
Progenitor, yeah.
Every other symbiote, every other character around you that has a symbiote on it gets to like a buff. It's pretty cool.
I believe you get a power for every symbiote around.
Is that what it is? Yeah.
Yeah. So you gain a bunch of power. One of them is, oh crap, what was it? Oh, it's the one that's like it's like a psyker symbiote, and so he gets like oh no, he's weak to psychic. That's right. So if he gets hit by a mystical attack, he loses defense dice now because he's like weak to mystic instead of energy. It's really funny. Yeah, there's a bunch of them. They're very cool. It looks like it's gonna be fun. Yeah. So Separation Anxiety Organized Play Kit. If you're a local player and you're listening to a podcast, we're going to start actually running more events. So keep an eye on the calendar for more organized play events. Should be fun.
I love that MCP does organized play events based upon, like mini series and things like that. I also love the reprints of cards.
Oh yeah. Speaking of, you get some really cool reprints of Uneasy Allies and All Webbed Up.
The Uneasy Allies card, the card art is exactly the super famous one from the Maximum Carnage video game, with like Carnage like coming over the city, and it's Venom, but instead of being Peter Parker Spider-Man, it's Miles. It's great, like super. I love how much this they do their homework for this. It's really
my favorite one for All Webbed Up is it's Venom, and he's shooting off like 100 tendrils to like grab everybody. It's really cool.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Next topic we have is playing currently. Have you guys played games in the last 10 months? No? All right. So I've played more Web Warriors. They're still good. News at 11.
Are you still not hurting anyone and winning? No damage win?
I think I killed people in my last game.
Okay.
I played Josh.
Good for you.
I won on scenario. Quicksilver was okay. Venom was kind of a rock star in that game. Venom got hit a bunch and never died.
I think it's really funny how I have tried to make Venom work in other factions, thinking Venom's just generically good. He could probably drop into other factions. And I never see him do nearly as much as he does in Web Warriors. In Web Warriors, he seems like an unstoppable monster. In other factions, he just seems okay. What is it about that?
I think Web Warriors is because your opponent is so distracted trying to not lose on scenario, they can't afford the attention to kill him. And so their option is kill him and lose, or ignore him and maybe not lose. And so he just gets completely ignored because all of your opponents are spending all their actions to move back to the points or attack the Spider-Mans or, do other things that isn't attack Venom. So Venom's just standing on their head, just slapping them like, die, idiot. And they're like, I can't.
It's really hard also.
That's how I feel.
It's also really hard to alpha strike him with Ghost Spider behind him and things like that. You'd like to be able to just knock him on his backside immediately, but you can't because Spider-Man.
Yeah, I'm gonna start playing Carnage soon because Carnage finally came in.
Yeah.
Very excited to play symbiotes.
Are you just putting him down the board just because he's a symbiote, or do you think he'll actually have some synergy with Web
I just
Warriors?
want to play Carnage and Venom. I don't really care about anything else.
Right. Well, you know they have
Jeremy,
they have a faction. You could play them in their
I
faction.
know, right? I didn't say I wouldn't. I
Oh,
just said I'm going to play Carnage.
I thought you said you were just going to drop Carnage into Web Warriors.
Oh, I don't know. We'll see.
Okay.
Jeremy, do you have anything you've played lately that you're excited about?
Well, I mean, when I shifted cards around and we played our game, as miserable as it is playing as Web Warriors, it was cool because I shifted all my tactics cards to be aggressive, just to do it. You know, like
Yeah.
I tend to handicap myself on purpose with certain things, like I pull MODOK and Magneto out of my lists, and I pull out cards that I usually take.
Yeah.
So anyway, we played the game, and the one thing that came out of that game with is Sabretooth with Doom Prophecy. My God in heaven, that dude came fucking unglued. Depending on how many models were around him was his kill limit.
The problem is, like, how do you attack him? Because if you attack him and don't kill him, you die because he swings back like 8 dice with Pierce.
It was insane.
And so it's like, well, I guess I don't attack you, and then you're just doing his job for him because you're not attacking him. So it's just like, what do you do? It's very annoying.
You have to one-shot him, basically. You have to roll 6 dice.
Yeah, but he potentially has exceptional healing, so that's not even really an option.
Oh, exceptional healing.
Yeah.
That's right.
Now, Jeremy didn't, but potentially that's there.
Yeah.
I just kept rolling like one short of killing him,
Yeah.
and it was very, very stupid.
That model's dropped. And
it was like, I threw terrain at him and stuff. He's like, block 4, and I'm like, awesome. Like what the hell's the point?
So I played that.
Anyway.
Then Monday I went and played in a Ultimate Encounter. I played the gem one with.
But Jeremy, you hate Ultimate Encounters.
I do. But that's what they were playing up there, so I rolled with it, whatever. So I played Cop Dan, who listens to the podcast, so hello Cop Dan.
Oh, he does?
Yeah.
Dan listens?
He listens.
Nice, good to know.
He said he likes everything we do except Parker.
Nice.
He was very,
that
anti-Parker.
Is
I don't know
very
why.
consistent with
don't know
all
why.
of the feedback we've gotten. Mm-hmm. Everyone hates Parker.
So I don't want to bring it up more, but there's something with Parker. I don't know.
He did say he hates you, specifically.
So we played that thing. Holy shit, it's bananas. So like
Had you not played that one before?
I haven't played that one.
Yeah, one's a little over the top.
So I took Strange with portals. Guess what the mission was? Portals. So everybody was leaping all over and I basically wasted it. So it was C, so across horizontally.
Wait, what? I thought you were playing the Ultimate Encounter.
It was okay.
There's no missions.
This was the Infinity Gem. Okay, so it's in the theme game with Infinity Gems. That one that came out.
Oh, you're doing the Infinity Saga organized.
There we
play
go.
event.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know the difference. They're all not playing tournament games or playing tournament games. That's what they are. So this one was that one. So it was a C mission, and basically you go up to it, and you could hold it, or you could spend a power and jump through to any of the other 2. They all became portals. So Strange was like, but I have a portal. It was so stupid. So I wasted all my time with that shit. And he was playing the Sam Spam thing. So I had 4 models. He had 7. He could move anywhere he wanted on the board. It was a little bit of trouble for me, I got to be honest. But at the end of the day, it was a really fun game. It was great to see a bunch of people I haven't seen in a while. So yeah, I didn't necessarily learn anything except that the Sam Avengers was very interesting. And I think it's probably pretty good. I know a lot of people have said it's good. It looks like it's good. I don't see how it couldn't be. But, it's cool.
On the topic of Sam and the Avengers, I feel like it's more up to the person playing Sam to fail than the fact that the army doesn't work. I know that the list works, and they seem very good and hard to take apart, but I think it's a lot of the learning curve of playing with 7 models, knowing how and when to trigger the passive and how to properly abuse it. I don't know. They seem very good, but all of the problems I've seen with people playing it are usually because they just don't have the experience yet.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And as far as the panning for gold, for wanting to play something new, so you completely change everything, that's the best way to find new stuff. Because if you're only changing one thing each time, you're never going to find anything truly new. It's like, all you're going to learn is Drax is better than Crossbones. And you're like, yeah, well, that's obvious.
I mean, is it really though?
It's pretty obvious.
I
Well, unless you're trying to beat Magneto, then it's very not obvious.
Right.
Me and Dan both had Iron Fist on our list, right? So
And you both hated yourselves?
no. The entire game was get over here so I can activate you. Like,
Oh,
we had
okay.
two models both running around trying to activate someone that was important. It was pretty funny. Because it was like, don't get away from me, you little bastard.
What? But you couldn't just kill him? I mean, did you just kill him?
Between bodyguards and number of models and defense, it doesn't really work that way. Like,
Yeah.
both of us had the ability to just go, you're not killing him right now, he's coming for you. So it was just kind of funny because we both had him in our list. That's about it.
All right.
For me.
So moving on, hobby projects. I haven't been able to work on anything lately. Anybody got any fun hobby projects?
Not right now.
All right.
I gotta put together Spider-Man ASAP. Gotta get me that
Yeah.
Spider-Man's. That's my.
I'm gonna have mine painted by the time you get yours put together. It's gonna be awesome.
I don't think it's gonna happen actually. But you know what?
Probably not. Okay, so we're going to do something we haven't done in a while, which is From the Forums, where we make fun of people that ask dumb questions online. But
All
we're
valuable
actually
people,
gonna
valuable listeners that do ask dumb questions.
Do what?
All valuable listeners, like we're excited about them joining the podcast, but also,
Also,
dumb
you
questions.
don't ask dumb questions.
Yeah.
No, but really, so our first question is, with the new Convocation tactics cards, using the book of Cagliostro.
Yeah.
Cagliostro.
Yes.
Cagliostro.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So when using this card, can you choose to discard the bar with no doors to return it to your tactics card area? The answer is no. You will not be able to discard the bar with no doors as part of returning it because you have already played it to gain the leadership ability.
Mm-hmm.
So that's an important one. Seems good to know. There is clarification because Doctor Strange, space Sorcerer Supreme has the word Doctor Strange in it. Is it possible for Doctor Strange, Sorcerer Supreme to use Doctor Strange specific tactics cards? The answer is no. So their names are officially different. You have to have the full name or the shorter name. You can't have one or the other. And the reason I wanted to bring that up is because originally we were talking about before we knew it was going to be Sorcerer Supreme, if Doctor Strange was simply the way they were going to identify them, then on the affiliation lists, the old Doctor Strange would then be in the Convocation because the new Doctor Strange obviously is going to be in the Convocation.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing I wanted to bring up earlier is that if the old Doctor Strange gets added to Convocation, and you can use the Wand of Watum on the old Doctor Strange, you could double activate the Time Stone and get 4 actions.
Boom.
For a total of 6 power, which is very reasonable.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that was one thing I wanted to bring up. I don't think it will be allowed for that exact reason.
You think 4 actions would be that deadly?
I think it would, for 6 power, it would be that deadly. Because it would be better than the card that lets him activate again.
Mm-hmm.
Which, by the way, would give him a total of 7 actions in one turn.
There you go.
That would be dumb.
How could you lose? You couldn't lose. 7 actions. Doctor Strange.
Now we're going to talk about a question that is pretty much like, yeah, don't ask this online. Like, use your common sense. This guy's asking a question about To Me, My X-Men. He says, what is the limitation on playing this card? And I would respond with, you're not supposed to play it, it's terrible. And then he would continue to say, the card specifies for each power spent to play this card, 1 uncanny ally X-Men may advance short towards this character. And then he goes on to ask, how many times can each character move? And then the answer is once with each character. So you obviously cannot spend 5 power and move 5 times.
Move 5 little bits.
I like to imagine he's starting adjacent to Storm, and he moves to one side of Storm, and then back to the other side, and then back to the other side, and then back to the other side. I would let them do that.
Yeah. You spend 4 power to go back and forth.
Yeah.
This whole time, we could have been moving the whole time until that got asked.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Right?
Damn it.
And, guys, don't you understand? You could be moving all the way to another character you have and then losing.
Yeah. I find the best thing to do with my turn 1 power is to move backwards once I've already moved forwards. That way I have to then again move forwards again next turn.
Yeah, this.
I just like hating on that card. It's a terrible card. I hate it.
Bad.
Moving on. And there was just a template for what the card needed to be, which was Avengers Assemble. And that card isn't even broken. Like, I don't know why this one's so bad.
Yep.
Ugh. Especially when the card art is literally, like, Professor X saying it through Cerebro.
Mm-hmm.
But they have to move towards Scott for no apparent reason.
Yeah.
Like, come on, guys. All right. Next question is just kind of a simple clarification. Regarding abilities like For Asgard and other abilities like Charge, if you are under an effect that says you can only move once per turn and you have already moved once, can you still activate an ability that would give you a move action? For example, like, could Quicksilver use Speedster if he's already reached the required amount or the maximum amount of moves? The answer is yes. You can just not actually perform the move action. The reason to do this is abilities like For Asgard, which is if Thor uses it, he gets to move and then make a hammer strike attack. But it says if that hammer strike attack does damage, the target gains staggered. So to get that ability to trigger, you could trigger this even if you couldn't legally move again. So pretty niche, kind of like Venom lethal protectoring himself, which I used in a game.
Such a weird thing.
Jeremy's not
so
happy
fucking
about
stupid. So stupid.
I am the lethal protector of me. Of us. Sorry, of us. Lethal protector of us.
Yeah, he always says us.
Yeah.
Next up is something we've covered before. I just wanted to reiterate. The question is, can Ronin's The Accuser ability be interrupted, which is the ability when he is dazed or KO'd, before he is dazed or KO'd, he gets to move and attack. The question here is, what if during the Accuser movement, he triggers Rocket's traps, booby traps, and he gets exploded on and would take yet more damage? The answer is he cannot take damage because his health bar is already full. And so he actually does not suffer damage from it, so it wouldn't trigger abilities that would deal damage.
Anytime you bring up Ronin and
Everything's
that ability, you open a small singularity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is the most complex insanity.
Yeah. It's supposed to be real simple, right? Just move and attack and then die.
Yeah.
But it's not.
Well, the answer is, it's like the stack in Magic, or it's just like a flow chart. The ability says this happens before the dying part happens, and then it's just the way that more things that have to be resolved first as well get piled onto the effects. You're basically building backwards, and then you have to resolve it in that reverse order. Okay, so the next one here is actually kind of clever. This is a really good thought out question. So props to Shadow Marvel on the forums. Good job. If someone initiates a beam attack that targets Loki and Quicksilver, are you ready?
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
I like how you guys both said, oh, Jesus.
No.
Jesus.
If both characters use their respective Trickster and or Can't Catch Me abilities to get out of range of the beam attack, does the person initiating the attack lose the action because both of them say if it did not target another person?
Oh,
and the answer is yes. If both people get out of range, the attack is wasted.
Wow. So if you're playing Quicksilver and Loki and you're just waiting for that beam, you're standing in front of Vision, you're just like, fucking get me. Fucking get me. And it happens.
Well, there's other effects that trigger this, like Escort to Safety, Lifesaver on Ghost Spider. There's other abilities that trigger this. It's not just these two idiots, but yes. If you have two people that can escape an attack and they both escape the same area of effect attack, the attack is wasted. They don't get a new action.
That is
that's fun.
Wonderful.
I know, I love it. That was a great question. Good job, man.
I really like about it also is they wrote a rule going, you know what? If you miss your attack because of this, you get something back. But if you miss two people, fuck you. Fuck
fool me
you.
once, shame on me.
Yeah.
Fool me twice, shame on you.
Yeah. Fuck you. You missed two people. You deserve to lie in that bed.
Yeah.
You fucking lie in it.
He's like, let me line this up, and they just go left and right, and he's like, no! And just shoots right down the middle.
Yeah.
Like, damn it!
But if it's one person, you go, you know what? I'm going to let that person go. You know, I'm going to pull back.
Yeah. Well, you can understand going left or right, right? Like, oh, I missed left, or oh, I missed right.
Yeah.
Okay. It's like when people throw two things at you and you try and catch them both, and you can never... If you go for both, you'll miss both. But if you only go for one, you'll get it.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on to the next one. Transformation and other effects.
Oh boy.
If Ant-Man or another Transformer is targeted by an attack and uses their size change ability, which does not specify they can get out of range of the attack to avoid it, but then you use Lifesaver on Ghost Spider, what happens? The answer is you can use the shape change to get within range of Ghost Spider or to just reposition, and then Lifesaver can drag you out of range of the attack. And yes, it still cancels the attack. In this case, though, they would get a new action, assuming that the other person did not also shape change and Lifesaver.
Yeah.
Which seems likely.
Yeah. just spare a thought to that player with Enchantress's beam or Vision's beam. He's like, here we go. Yeah. Pretty good beam. I think I'm going to get 2 or 3 people, like War Machines. I'm going to get a really nice.
I like to imagine it's new Doctor Strange doing his Silver Circle of the Seraphim.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh wait, I'm going to do all this healing. You're like, everyone left.
Yeah. I blow 2 tactics cards and I have 2 characters. Now you can't kill me, and you lose your action. Such a weird thing.
Next up is a clarification on Eye of Agamotto, which is Doctor Strange's ability to reroll dice. The ability specifies that only once per attack can you use the rerolls. What were to happen if he was to target an enemy Hawkeye with the attack, and he triggers, what is it called? Counterattack?
No, it's something else, right? Because it happens before.
Fast draw. It's called fast draw.
Yeah.
So what happens if Doctor Strange uses Bolt's Bedevilment, targets an enemy Hawkeye outside of range 3, who triggers fast draw? This is still part of the original Doctor Strange attack. Can you only reroll your defense dice or your attack dice, or can you reroll both? And the answer is you can do both.
You can reroll.
Yeah, because within the first attack, you create a separate attack flowchart, resolve it completely, and then go back to the original attack. And so effectively what the ruling is that because it was a different attack, it did not happen during this timing chart, so you're okay.
I see.
All right, so that's that one. I think we have one more. Oh, this is the one that I said this is actually a really well thought out question that does not affect the game in any way. I like this though. This guy's head's in the right spot. So good. Waffle 1K. Good job, buddy.
Waffle.
Waffle 1K.
Okay.
The question is, when participating in the Vibranium Heist event.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
I don't care what else comes next. I love this person already.
Yeah. When you have an attacking Mr. Sinister, meaning that he's part of the what is it called? The special team that he builds? It's the custom team, I think it's called. Mm-hmm. Anyway, it's basically he hires a team of specialists for the bank job, and this is that team, and the affiliation is whoever the fuck you want.
Right.
But specifically, when building this team, you don't have a roster. You just put any characters you want on your team.
Mm-hmm. And
so the question is, when using Cloning Vat, what is your restriction on clone characters?
Yeah.
And Will Pagani himself chimes in and says, I would discuss it with your opponent before the game, as you do not have a roster, and so as written, no, you would not be able to use clone. But I personally think you should be able to do whoever you want.
Yeah.
So good job, Will.
Yeah, I like that. Just like, I think if you're playing Vibranium Heist and you clone vat someone, it should be the game. The game is your pool.
It's like there's a similar effect of this in Magic, which there's cards called Wish cards, and basically they're all a lot of them are restricted in some way, but they basically say, when you resolve this card, take a card from outside the game and put it in your hand, or play it, or put it in play, or something according to that. And so the way that this has been ruled in tournaments is the outside of the game consists of only cards in your sideboard, which is basically your roster in this game. And so you're restricted to only play with cards that you brought to the match. Mm-hmm. As where this would basically be saying, this would be following that lines, mean there's nothing that you didn't play with that you brought. Mm-hmm. And so, but I like the intent of it being, you can take whoever you want. Mm-hmm. Honestly, I don't even think Cloning Vat should have a restriction. You should be able to bring whoever you want. Because it's not like putting that 10th character slot in your list is really going to make a difference. Like, I think the whole point of Cloning Vat is that it's supposed to be like a Swiss Army knife.
We already know, like, the opportunity cost of it is pretty high, right? Because, it is strong enough.
Very high.
It's strong enough to be worth it, but it's very high.
It is fearful symmetry level of like prep required.
Right.
Like it is insane. Alrighty. Well, that's the last from the forum. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Let me know if you enjoyed it.
I enjoyed that one a lot. I will let you know.
Yeah, I thought we had some good ones today. Yeah. We also had some bad ones, but
I actually liked a lot of those. Even the dumb boys for dumb ones. I like it.
Yeah. Okay. So that's going to wrap that up, and let's get to our next segment, which is going to be our main topic in air quotes today. This is going to be a little topic, so don't worry, we're not going to take too long on this one. But this is something I was thinking about when I first read the new Doctor Strange card, which is when characters have naturally above average power production, is that actually a negative? And the reason I think that might be true is because when you look at all the characters that say, like, this character generates X extra power per turn, or generates 2 or 3 or whatever, generally that's because they have some built-in failure within their kit to generate power, which is one option.
Mm-hmm.
As number 2, they're doing it that way to guarantee that they get to use some ability on their card that therefore has a higher than average cost, right? So that's option 2, is that they're, to balance an effect they have on their card, they've raised the power cost to restrict it to not being able to be done more than once per turn. And then to make up for that, they're then having to increase the natural power generation.
Right.
Or option 3, they are trying to give them some kind of buff because generally speaking, outside of that ability, they're subpar. Those are like the 3 ways I see the characters being designed that have extra power per turn. And so my question to confirm this theory is, would you ever want one of those things to be true? To the point where you would give up the passive power generation, if that makes sense. So, like for the example of I don't gain power naturally is Hulk, right? That's the perfect example. Mm-hmm. He doesn't have a builder attack, but he gets more than average power per turn. He gets 3 normal power instead of 1. I would never want that. I would always much rather have normal power generation with a builder, as we saw with She-Hulk, because the 3 power per turn just puts you in this box of knowing that you could never achieve above the line. Like there's a glass ceiling, basically. It's like you cannot do all the cool things that like Magneto can do, because Magneto can theoretically have like 30 power in a turn because of the way his kit works.
Right.
Like Hulk will never feel that. But if he did, maybe Hulk would be very different. So option 2 being Doctor Strange here, where he has a 4 cost ability and a 6 cost attack. So clearly this kit was designed around, okay, well, these might be too good. Let's put a hard cap on how many times you can use it, and then give him enough power to achieve it. And you're like, okay, well, all you're really doing is meaning that this power couldn't cost 1, so you're going to make it cost 4, but give me 3 power.
Mm-hmm.
So that way you're diminishing the returns on my builder attacks by making me spend so much power on my abilities that it's not really an even exchange. It basically devalues the builder power, right?
Right.
Because every time you up the cost of an ability and then up my natural generation, you're just devaluing my natural gaining from damage and other things.
And that also points towards characters where that isn't true and how strong they automatically are. Like Valkyrie's a good example. Right. Is a character that has 2 power, but everything is cheap, and she has great builders, and she has so she can charge or throw with just the power she has every turn. But then she also has a builder, which continues to feed the rest of her abilities. So like it's, and
every time we end up talking about her, it's not about her damage output, which is why she originally made our lists.
Right.
It ended up being about that she's a self-contained kit. Like, she doesn't need extra power.
Yeah,
she can do everything she wants.
Right.
And everybody's always trying to kill her, so power's never a problem. Like, she gets so much power.
Yeah.
So that's option 2. And so for like Doctor Strange's example, he has that 4 cost teleport. He has a 6 cost attack. Like, and he has a 1 cost attack. Well, what if his stuff just costs 2 less across the board and he generated 1 power a turn? Is he better? He is better, right?
I would say if the only thing you ever needed power for in the game was stuff on your character card, I think that's true. But there are, for example, like field dressing, right? having a character that gains 3 power a turn might be useful if you need field dressing right now, because characters that gain 1 power a turn may never be able to field dress anyone in the course of the game, because they're either KO'd when they have the power to do it, so it doesn't matter, or they can't generate enough power off of their attacks. I'm thinking specifically, like, I played a bunch of X-Force. The fact that Cable gains 2 power is definitely balanced on his card, right? Because a lot of his stuff is expensive, except for his basic, which is super ubiquitous. However, I count constantly on Cable being there to be my field dressing guy, because I can't expect my other characters to have enough power to field dressing when I need to, but Cable can have enough power to field dressing when I need to, because he's going to be gaining extra one every turn. So I would.
Well, yeah, but he most of the time has to use his teleport every turn, or at least for the first few turns.
Yeah, usually it's just the first turn, but once he's in a position, he's just a turret at that point. Usually.
Well, but then he's probably not next to the person that needs to be field dressed.
Right, but then he can move once.
Then you're sacrificing the attacks to move into it. Yeah, right. I get that.
So I guess the point I'm trying to make is there are I think it depends upon if you have a really strong game plan to use a tactics card that draws a lot of power or needs a lot of power and needs to be sitting on a character all the time, then you might want the character to have extra power passively generated, even though it's making there's a tax on all the other things he can do on his character card, or she can do on her character card, because it enables some tactics cards that need a big power draw. But for the most part, I was thinking of trying to think of another character that just gains 2 power that I would rather there just be some other thing that they do. I think like Hela's a good example. Like, is Hela using her 2 power? Like,
well, yeah, because her stuff is overpriced because she generates 2.
Right. So like Hela's a great example of a character that I think could be stronger with 1 power and more efficiency in her kit.
Like, her Coal Soul should just cost 0, and she should generate 1 a turn.
There you go.
She'd be fine.
Right.
She would actually be played, probably.
Yes.
Jeremy, what's your thought? Do you have any thoughts on this?
I was kind of trying to think of the opposite. Like, is there characters out there that don't have a builder attack, aside from Hulk, that just sucks? I know there's a couple, right?
There is one that I have in mind, which is what I wanted to bring up at some point, but I don't know if you guys were going to...
That's where I'm at with it. Like,
there's a character that's ruined by this concept.
The 2 power, the extra power thing?
The extra power ruined their kit, yeah. They were designed around the concept of, we'll give them extra power, and as like a reining in concept, and it ruined them.
Now I feel challenged.
It's
I know who it is. Yeah, it's at Maw.
Ebony Maw. Yeah.
So if we go to Ebony Maw's kit, I'll pull it up real quick. So at first you're like, oh, this character is awesome. He gains 3 power a turn. But then we go to his builder attack, and it's just an innate gain 1 and not equal to damage.
There it is. Yep.
And his abilities cost 3 to throw a piece of terrain and 2 to defend himself, and his spender attack costs 4. It's like, and then you start doing the math on the kid. It's like, well, I get 3 a turn. He's almost never going to get to sit still and shoot twice. So he's probably getting 4 a turn, which means so optimal situation. You're in a position where you're within range 4 of your target. You shoot them once with your basic, and then you throw your spender at them. That's exactly 4 power generation turn. You end with 0 and die. Because you don't have any extra power, because he can't defend himself then.
Right.
So then, if you look at it in the reverse, it's like, all right, I generate 3, I do my builder twice, I have 5, I get attacked twice, I have to spend 4 of it defending myself. And so you start next turn with 4 power instead of 3. And it's like, you've done nothing. Like, he never gets ahead. And he doesn't have a big enough health pool to get dazed and then do something on the backside. Because on the backside, he has 4 health for a 5-point character.
Right.
So I'll say this about it. I can tell you that all the characters that get played a lot, that get flooded all of the time, where you just have so much power you can't do anything about, most of them just gain 1.
Yeah.
They're fine. Like, get
it's
power.
all because they have extremely quality builder attacks.
Which is...
like MODOK.
Yeah.
Hawkeye.
And Magneto.
It would seem that that's what they should be going for, because that lets you control the power. Instead of like, oh, here I go, I get 3 power, and I'm in a position not to do shit with it because it doesn't do me any good right now. That happens plenty. It's different when you're like, I'm going to use this builder, do some attacks, try to gain as much as I can, and then do a thing, because then you control what's kind of happening. I feel like, so my end result for this whole topic, or what you're talking about, is I always feel like it's about right. I don't think that, I think they give you a little extra power to do the thing you're wanting to do. That's fine, but I never go into it going, I like the character because I get so much extra power to do so many extra things.
I think it's a false positive.
Yes, I agree.
think people get the power up front. They're like, oh, I got so much power. This is so great, but it has nothing to do with that.
Mm-hmm.
And so, as an example, I would say, think about a time you've been playing a character, and you're like, man, this character's awesome. Look at all the power I have. And have that have anything to do with the amount of power they get at the start of the turn. I would argue there's nobody that is good because they get extra power. The only even close to argument is usually like Angela, because she has so many weird things she can do with scenario. But that's not really true, because she's almost always just getting the one thing anyway. Like, obviously, more power is better. Like, there's no one's going to argue that getting more power is bad. But generally speaking, the people that have innate extra power generation, like look at Thanos. Thanos doesn't have innate extra power generation. He gets it from the stones. So it's not the same thing.
He pays for it.
Because you're paying for that.
Yeah.
You're paying for it, and generally the stones give you abilities that cost power, which means you need that power to pay for your new abilities. The stones just give you the power to use the abilities they have. And so let's look at the people that get extra power. We've got the Asgardians. Hela's bad. Valkyrie's good because they didn't overprice her abilities, and so she's kind of the exception.
She broke this curve, exactly what we're talking about, which is
she broke the curve because she's not designed around the one extra power.
Right.
Like she's has the power costed like she doesn't, but she has the builders like she doesn't as well.
Right.
So she escaped all three tropes.
Yeah.
Enchantress did as well.
Enchantress did as well. Look at her. Her builder's insane.
Yeah.
She gets one automatically and then has sap power, and it's a beam, so it targets multiple people. So you're getting more than that amount of power back.
Right.
It's crazy. Oh, and then also she drains power off the enemy with multiple different abilities she has. Mm-hmm. But she actually gets a benefit from her 2 a turn. That's the problem though. She's broken because she wasn't balanced around it.
Yeah.
And so those are kind of the 2 exceptions, is Valkyrie and Enchantress. Then we get to Loki. Loki is definitely not balanced around his power generation, because he gets 1 extra and it's not even enough to run his kit.
He's constantly
because his stuff's overpriced,
mm-hmm.
because they weren't expecting the 2 power to be not that much. Thor is also hamstrung by power. Thor is desperately needing power all the time.
Yep.
So moving on from Asgardians, we have Angela. Angela again. All of her stuff is expensive to the point where she doesn't actually get to use it. She, I guess, if you have a good turn, she gets to throw somebody, but she's kind of just a weird character in general. So then moving on to like the psychic people, we have Jean Grey, who I would argue is hamstrung by her overcosted abilities. If her stuff was cheaper, I think she'd be better.
Yes, and also 100% because of her power. 100%, yeah.
Yeah, because she gets extra power, and it's like, why do you get extra power if you can't even afford to use your shit? Mm-hmm. Ebony Maw is exactly the same way, except he fits into 2 because he doesn't have a builder and his stuff is overcosted.
Which is why he is so bad.
Yeah. It's like, you look at his powers like, all right, well, he gets 3 a turn, and you look down the list of things that cost power. It's like, cost 4, cost 3, cost 2. Mm-hmm. It's like, well, throw this guy in the fucking garbage because he can't do anything. Like that's exactly the problem with him. If you just took 1 power cost of everything he does, he'd probably be fine. Mm-hmm. Moving on, let's see, we have Hulk, who's hamstrung by the way his power generation works. He'd be much better if he just had strikes. Then we have She-Hulk, who doesn't really fit into either, because first off, she has all of her power generation comes from her leadership. Her getting 1 extra power per turn is completely irrelevant to her kit.
Right.
So her leadership gives her enough power. Her stuff's not overcosted. Her builder is amazing. Her
building is she has the 7 dice builder, right? That's still the only
7
one?
dice builder that can roll extra dice, and her leadership generates more power than any other leadership. Mm-hmm. Like, okay, yeah, she's fine for other reasons. Mm-hmm. And so she's like, what's the point? Like, I think the people that have this is a curse. This is like a lodestone that is placed on them to balance them.
Yeah.
Kind of like in War Machine, when you're like, oh, this does corrosion damage. That's so cool. Corrosion damage is a debuff to your attack, because that just means that you're vulnerable to people that have immunity to corrosion. That's all that means.
Yeah. Also,
it's not a bonus. Fire damage doesn't do more than damage.
Right.
It's worse.
There are creative uses for like extra power, like Green Goblin's backside. That's a great use of like extra power, because it doesn't hamstring him at all. It doesn't really change anything about his kit. It just makes it makes him, as he goes down with his 5 health left, he's going to be unpredictable and zany, which is what he's supposed to be. Like,
I like it a lot. It's perfect. It's a perfect design for him because they want to display that he's going to the wall ham to kill people at this point.
Right.
And that's generated, like, if you have power, you're going to do more aggressive maneuvers, which it perfectly plays on the tabletop.
Mm-hmm. Right. So
like
there are times when the extra power on the character is just great. But yeah, I hear you. I was thinking of this. Besides, there's Cable, Jean Grey. Just trying to think if there are any other double powers besides those in the Asgardians.
Yeah, I forgot about Cable. But if you look at Cable, the whole thing we were talking about is we didn't think he'd be able to afford all of his abilities.
Mm-hmm.
And I honestly think Body Slide by 1 should be free. Like, if he got 1 power a turn, just normal power generation, Body Slide by 1 was free, but once per turn, just like Ant-Man's Hitch a Ride.
Yeah.
And don't change anything else about him, I'm in for 5 points.
Yeah. Yeah, but they wanted to make it cost 2 because powers in this game cost 2, so they had to give him 2 powers so he could do a first turn. And now everything's going to be overcosted on his card. Yeah.
Right, so effectively it now costs 1, and it basically still costs 1, but now it hampers his ability to do other things. Interesting.
And what's weird?
This was my take.
Here's the other thing that we need to talk about: other characters that have big power cost like effects that you want to do all the time, but actually do have the power to do it. Like Red Skull is a good example of, like, they gave him the ability to get the power, but he's got to cost an action and maybe take damage. But then Cyclops, who has a very similar thing you want to do every turn, they did not give him any ability to get the power, but they kept the cost the same. Like, so the curve is just completely off for him. So Red Skull feels like a usable character, but Cyclops feels like impossible.
I don't understand. I feel like we're still missing something in X-Men because Cyclops just feels like such a giant swing and a miss. Like, it feels like they ran out of playtesting time on him or something, or like they sent the wrong version of him to the printer. Yeah, because like that's how whole bad box, it just doesn't make sense.
That's how egregious.
It's obvious that Storm is the superior of the 2 models, and she's the cheaper of the 2 models,
right?
And which is just in it. I can understand, like, over time power creep getting to it, or like we've learned what a good model is in this game over the last year. So we're sorry Hela's not good, but this 4-point model is going to be better. Like, I get that. Like, you're getting better at design, but there's no excuse for models in the same fucking box to be this imbalanced. It's very annoying. Like, even Valkyrie and Thor are comparable. One's a 5-point model, one's a 3-point model, but they're comparable in power level, right?
Right.
Like, no one's going to argue Valkyrie's better. But Valkyrie is, like, synonymous in the game not because she's so good, but because the role she fills. Nobody else fills that role. There's no other 3-point model that can double move and throw people every turn.
Right.
There's no other 3-point model that can kill a 5-point model in melee. Like, that, she just is the exception to the rule, right? She hit every high point of what people want, while fitting in at the proper cost.
Yeah. There are actually, it's funny that you mentioned this. I feel like almost maybe every character that takes an action to gain power feels great. Like, it feels perfect. Like, we haven't seen Mordo yet, but we can assume based on his kit is excellent. Vision, Wong, all of them like love to use their extra power, but it makes them feel like slow, methodic characters, right? Because you're losing an action to gain the power. So the thing that you're getting to do with that power might feel a little expensive, but it's part of like the character of the character of the kit, right? Yeah, it seems. I don't know. It seems like
I think
it's done
what if
right.
Ebony Maw just had a 0-cost action power that gave him 3 more power? Like,
yes.
Would that be fine? Like, it'd be a lot closer,
right? Yeah. I feel like they definitely made extra power for not attacking work across, in many different places of the game, and definitely made the power cost of some things egregious for characters that couldn't get power, and for some characters that got 2 power, they just like cranked it up to basically making it fall off the curve, like just way too far. Yeah, I agree. I would love it if Jean Grey and Cable did not gain 2 power a turn and all their stuff cost 1 and 2 or 0. Like, that would be great. I would, because I love Jean Grey and Cable, so I would love to see their exact kits with exactly the numbers just down -1. Like, just that'd be great.
Mm-hmm. Jeremy, what do you think? You think I'm wrong?
I think it's a really interesting topic. I think that even though there's 90 models or even closer, maybe 100 out now, each one of them feels different and interesting, and they feel like the characters that they play in the comic books, at least a little. And I think it's in the balance of doing that. They're like, this new Doctor Strange needs to have some sort of aura to heal people. That needs to cost a lot. And I don't want him to be able to kill everyone in the whole game with his attack. So how do we make it so, you know what I mean? Like, they're trying to create an environment that's fun and also some cool effects. I see what they're doing. I do think there was some misses, obviously. I mean,
yeah.
But I get what they're doing. And I can also get and appreciate, look, it would be more fun for us if it was cheaper. You know what I mean? Like, I think that the character
I think I
might
see
be
what
lost.
you're saying, and I totally respect the design philosophy of doing this. I think there's a proper place for it, because, like, I think the new Doctor Strange is fine. I don't think it's going to cripple him like other characters might have been, because I think they're dialing it in to be better. But I think at its core, it is an intentional game design nerf. Like, they're doing it that way because doing it the other way would be too good or better than they want.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think it's chicken. It might be the chicken and the egg that you guys are kind of describing here, where they go to the table, they go, okay, what kind of thing do we want every Asgardian to have? Like, if there's an Asgardian race, what do we want? Well, maybe they have like an inherent fatality. How could we represent that in the game? You're like, well, why don't we have them like get extra power every turn? Like, okay, cool. So they have extra power every turn. So they sit down with that as a baseline, and then everything is dressed upon that. And so they and so they build Hela, and they go, okay, we want her to have power over life and death. Ooh, shit! Remember, guys, she's going to get 2 power every turn. Ah, fuck, we got to make this really expensive. So
yeah, let's make all of our stuff cost 1. And you're like, well, why does it cost 1? Like, well, because you get 2. It's like, well, then why do I get 2?
Right.
Like, it's a like you can't overcharge the guy that's supposed to have extra of something. Like, that's not fair.
Right.
And so, yeah, like, that's kind of my point. Like, I totally agree that this is a way to design models. And if you went to the table saying, well, we want Doctor Strange to get 3 power a turn, sure, I'm on board. But you can't then overprice all of the model's abilities because, well, he's going to have 3 power a turn. His basic should cost 1. And you're like, no, like, where is your logic here? Like, then get rid of the 3 power. Like, you're ruining it. Yeah. And so, like I said, the newer characters have felt closer to what they're supposed to be. Like, what are the most recent models? It's like She-Hulk and Doctor Strange, right? Is it? I guess Jean Grey and Cable are fairly new.
With extra power.
So, yeah.
Iron Fist.
Yeah.
Iron Fist has 2 power a turn.
Yeah, but he's just a fucking trash can anyway.
Right.
So, yeah, I think Jean Grey's probably the worst of those 4 models.
Hamstrung by this effect, yes, I would say yes.
Yeah, and let's see how close it is.
She's hamstrung by several things.
Yeah,
but I think the power bit is like
every fucking time I go to type Jean Grey, I type Phoenix.
Yeah,
so annoying.
All
right, so she gets 2 power a turn, and her powers cost 3, 3, and 2. Yeah, that probably happened.
Yeah.
Oh, and her only spending attack costs 6.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, that seems fine.
Yeah, it's.
Yeah,
again, these are all characters that get extra power. They have builders generally, and yet they're never flooded. Why is that?
Yeah. No, so Jean Grey at least has sap power, so I can see the engine, but I don't see it starting, right? Like, I can see that there is a workhorse power engine in there somewhere.
Yeah.
But we're back to the part, like what if it was a beam attack? If she had a beam that did that, okay, I'm on board again. Like, we're back to the point where I can see you getting the power. But I'd be willing to bet you, if we approach this from design point, if she gets 1 power a turn, her stuff would cost 2, 2, and 1. And if this character had 2, 2, 1, 1 power a turn, I'd be on board.
Yeah.
But her Mind Shield costing all of her power every turn is just like, okay. It just means you're that much further away from, like, having repetitive uses. And so the whole point of this design is to stop repetitive uses of powers. By inflating the starting number and the finishing number, you're just reducing the ability to duplicate the effect. And so I can see them wanting to do that, but I don't think that's what they should have done. If people have cool defining abilities, letting them use them as many times as they can afford to is good for game design, I think.
But then also, but on
But
top,
you do have to find a way to balance them with that in mind.
But this is actually one of the things that it's kind of like, theory of relativity, right? There is a limit, and the limit in this game is the attack dice. So if you give somebody a basic attack and you make it 5 dice, then everybody agrees that 5 dice is kind of the average normal for the basic builder, then if you give them 2 power a turn, also you've got to make everything expensive because everybody has a 5 dice attack. You see what I'm saying? Like I think the attack is one of the reasons why they feel they feel that it's necessary to put the 1 extra power cost tax on like all of Jean Grey's ability and Cable's abilities, is because they gave him a builder that has 5 dice and they can gain power from it, and if they gain 1 power also from it, that's just going to break them wide open. They'll be too flush with cash. So
I do appreciate the designer's philosophy of let's aim low if we're not sure on something. And I feel like that happens a lot with this specific mechanic.
Yes.
Like, this character might be broken if they can use this ability too many times.
And this is
their mechanic to stop that.
And this is why I think the fact that the builder is such a has no curve, right? The builder's just 5 dice, gain a power for every damage you do. Because that has no curve, it's the reason why the characters that sacrifice an action to get power feel balanced and are balanced without having to pay a huge tax on their powers, is because they can't attack also to get their power. It's not happening passively in the background. So because you say, if you build a character and it's Red Skull and you have to give an action away, you have to give an action to get Wong's power, you have to do that, then you don't have to worry about making all their subs super expensive. But again, they did that first. Wong is not a frontline fighter in the Marvel Universe. He's going to sit there and meditate. So we'll give him an action for power. Red Skull is not a frontline fighter in the Marvel Universe. He's going to, try to, manipulate the Cosmic Cube. So we'll give him an action for power. Like, they thought of the mechanic first to represent the character concept, and then they went back and tried to balance it, which doesn't work when you say Cable's a great psionic potential, Jean Grey's a great psionic potential, so we'll make sure they have +1 power. Oh shit, they also have a builder with 5 dice. Fuck, everything's got to be 3 or more. It does feel like that's kind of where they're going. That's why I say I think it's a negative effect, as where you think Nemesis, when you first read Nemesis, you're like, oh, this is probably a bad thing, right? Like, because a lot of characters are like, oh, they have like an arch enemy or something. It's usually some kind of negative effect. But in this game, it's kind of a positive and a negative. Like, they did a good job of making it like right on the line of good and bad, because it gives you a lot of bonuses, but it does require you to spend an action in a way you might not want to. Yeah, I think they're doing a good job in general. I just think when people see, oh, this character gets 3 power a turn, you do what like Parker said earlier in this podcast, where it's like, oh, he's going to have all the power because he gets 3 a turn. I think that's a huge misconception. I think it actually means they end up with less total power. That's interesting.
Because their costs are so inflated because they have that higher base generation rate.
Yeah, when you think about how many times you would love to use Scalpel of Strange, but a 4 cost. I mean, how many times in a game do I get to do a 4 cost attack on my models? Like,
you were talking about, I get to use my knives every turn. Well, if you do the math on using knives every turn, like let's say first turn you move once, you throw a knife. That means you have 2 power. Next turn you go up to 5, you throw 2 knives, you're down to 3. You can't place.
Yeah.
That means turn 3 is the soonest you're using Scalpel, and you're spending to 0.
Yep. Yeah.
Like, that doesn't work.
Yeah.
Like, you're talking about how many knives you get to throw. It's like, yeah, you get to throw knives. Guess who else gets to throw knives? Bullseye.
Yeah. But it doesn't do it at range. Sorry. Sorry.
I know, I'm just kidding.
Clearly Strange's, the one spender is a great attack, but it's a sidearm, not his primary weapon, because of exactly what you're describing. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, this is, I have not thought of this before, because I am, I am a character I'm a player that when I look at a character, I love generic rules that increase efficiency of their personal economy. In War Machine, my favorite ability, bar none, not even close, was called Resourceful, because Resourceful said you just didn't have to spend focus, which is their magical currency in the game. You didn't have to spend focus to upkeep your spells, to keep your spells running. And when a character said that, I was going to love them. I didn't care what the rest of their card said. In this game, I have done the same thing to extra power. And when a character says I gain 2 power a turn, I am immediately excited about that. But you're right.
I just ruined it.
You didn't ruin it, but you made me think of what that actually means. I need to look at, well, honestly, it's just you look at the rest of the kit, because clearly we've already talked about some characters that spend an action to gain power, and the rest of the kit still works. Or we know that Valkyrie gets extra power, but her kit still works. So it's not that it's not going to work. I think, like you said, Doctor Strange is also more dialed in. I think gaining 3 power a turn, I think his kit will still work. But it is not just, it's not resourceful. It's not just a boon.
It's not. It's the opposite, in fact.
Right.
It, in fact, means that you're going to have to pay even more taxes.
Yes. Like the thing that I loved about resourceful, which was more efficiency all the time with my currency. This is the opposite. It's less efficiency with currency.
Which is why you like Captain America, because he just says you don't have to pay taxes.
Yeah. Yes. That is it. It's this version of resourceful. Yes. That's exactly correct. Yes.
Yep. And that's why I like playing Loki against you, because he makes you pay your fucking taxes.
Yeah. I love Loki. I also love Loki, but he never can pay. He can't pay his fucking taxes if he wants to do any of his stuff because of that.
He doesn't need to do anything. He just needs to stand there and be a fucko.
It's funny. That's one of the reasons. I think this effect is also plays into why all of us are so sure that Loki without the Mind Stone is really difficult to play. Yes, it does give him a control effect. That's great. But having the 1 extra power turn, even though it makes him overcosted for perhaps his stat card, the fact that you have 3 power turn helps a little bit with that, with the tax he has to pay for having 2 power turn. What a weird
for
situation.
Loki?
Yeah, for Loki.
Yeah.
Like, that might be why Loki feels better with 3 power a turn. To say nothing of the
Loki was
fact.
100% designed for the Mind Stone.
Right.
Yeah.
But he does. But again, but just his character card. But in this game, you don't have to play with the Mind Stone. If you did, you would feel choked all the time by this exact effect. Yeah.
Interesting topic. I liked it.
Cool. So moral of the story, don't pay your taxes. Moving on. Parker, I believe you have a story to tell us.
Yeah. So today I'm actually going a little bit into alternate universe kind of stuff, because if you guys watched any of the What If stuff, it's fun to watch. And the What If series, if you've never read a What If comic in Marvel Universe, you're missing out. A lot of them are fantastic. Some of them are just goofy and fun, but a lot of them are amazing. And I could go through tons of them. But one of my favorite What If style comics was actually kind of groundbreaking. It made a big splash when it came out, called Marvel 1602. It was just an 8-issue comic book, published in 2003. And of all people, Neil Gaiman was the writer of the novel fame. And one of the most amazing things about Marvel 1602 is basically they just imagined what would happen if in the real world in 1602, for no particular reason, what in the book they call Marvels just started appearing. Like, all of a sudden there's mutants, and there's Spider-Man, and there's the Fantastic Four, and it's just kind of happening. But instead of happening in any sort of modern context, it's happening in, at the same time that Europe is colonizing the New World and, discovering most of the parts of the world, and under constant turmoil. And so they take a lot of historical figures and historical moments that were taking place in this kind of super dynamic time in European history, and they just kind of put the Marvel Universe into it. But again, it's not, Peter Parker. It's Peter Parquois, and he's not a reporter. He is an apprentice to Nicholas Fury, which is a a super spy in the Queen's service, right? And so there's this little bitty tweaks, and so it follows along with them doing all this different stuff, just little bitty, obviously, these characters. The reason why I pulled this off the shelf for a Comic Corner is my favorite character is the Doctor Strange of Marvel 1602. He's awesome because, of course, in 1602, if you thought you practiced magic, you were fucking burnt at the stake, right? Like, they murdered you. And so how does Doctor Strange get away with actually practicing magic? It's because he has friends in high places. He's the court magician, right? And for Queen Elizabeth's court. And it's also the first and only comic I have that features Clea, his interdimensional lady friend. So he is actually, Doctor Strange is the character that actually starts to unravel what's actually going on. How is it that these things just seem to be happening simultaneously in 1602? Brandon, a little shout out to your friend. One of my favorite side stories in it is Magneto appears, and he's a Spaniard, but of course, who's after Magneto? None other but the Spanish Inquisition. The Spanish Inquisition, which was very active at the time and persecuting Muslims and Jews, turns all their attention towards these new people that are just like manifesting witch-like powers. And of course, who decides to take down the Spanish government by himself? But Magneto, right?
I feel like Magneto would be way overpowered in the 1600s.
Oh, he is terrifying as shit. He is absolutely a monster in the show. In the comic. Also, Doctor Doom is in it, and of course, because Latveria is a country, so
yeah,
he's the Lord of Latveria, and he's a great character too. So, if you're all a fan of history, specifically European history, and you like the Marvel Universe, it's a fantastic comic, and I will not spoil anything about the ending for you. Like, why is all this happening? What does Doctor Strange find out? I'll let you watch it because it's great. One of the most satisfying, just like single stories ever. If you like it, it was so popular when they wrote it that they didn't really know what was going to happen when they did. It was kind of a pet project by Neil Gaiman. If you like the 1602, they actually made then two others. One Marvel 1602 featuring just the Fantastic Four, and another Marvel 1602 featuring just Spider-Man. And so there's more of the universe expanded after that with just some other miniseries. But super fun to watch. I say fun to watch. It reads like a movie. Super fun to read. It's really good.
That actually sounds pretty fun.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks for that. Jeremy, thanks for interrupting us like 30 times. That was fun.
You are welcome.
Nice. All right. Well, that's going to wrap it up for us here today. Thanks for stopping by. This has been Brandon.
And not Dr. Mantis Toboggan.
Jeremy, / credit card numbers, social security numbers, all that. So look me up online, folks.
Don't forget the security code.
In 475.
Your secret server name is the 3 numbers on the back.
Yeah, check that out. Hit me up.
All right. And you have just listened to Taxation is Theft.
So what are we going to call this thing?
I got it. Okay. Incredible, new, fantastic, astonishing, mighty, original, uncanny, sensational podcast.
I'm just going to put down infamous.
Monster Apocalypse has a new model made of snot.
Yeah, they have a whole faction of those glob people.
The waste monster.
Mm-hmm.
Sling oozer.
Is it like...
Man, I really wish that company didn't lose its goddamn mind to get super greedy.
Yeah, I didn't hate Monster Apocalypse, I will say that.
Yeah, Monster Apocalypse was fun, but like War Machine, like I don't know how you have to try to be that bad. Like, all you had to do was, like, if they just didn't release anything for 2 years, the game would be in a better place than it is now. Like, I don't understand how you ruin something that hard.
Are people still doing that weird version that What's-His-Face came up with?
Brawl Machine? Brawl Machine's just low point War Machine. It's the same game. If I was going to play, I would probably play Brawl Machine, but it's still Theme Forces, so who the fuck cares?
Mm-hmm. You guys held a War Machine tournament recently, didn't you?
Aaron runs War Machine tournaments at the store. I do not know if it happened. I know that it was scheduled.
Gotcha.
It's usually somewhere between 2 and 4 people.
I know a guy who has a bunch of it for sale if you're interested.
War Machine?
Mm-hmm.
Is that person you?
I'd have to ask.
Oh, okay. Looking to sell War Machine collection. 30,000 points, fully painted, comes with army transports. Paying $50 for you to pick it up. Don't waste my time.
Exactly.
Inquiries only.
I always feel bad because you have so many people. I see it on the marketplace and like different groups or whatever for War Machine. They're still on my phone. Like they pop up all the time. This and that. It's for sale. All these things. I'm like, you didn't hear? Yeah. Oh, this person's in for it. Ooh.
Yeah.
There is so much shit on the secondary market for War Machine that the company is having trouble selling models at their cost below the secondary market.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, it sucks to be you, bro. Maybe you shouldn't have ruined your own fucking game.
What a weird, terrifying problem. Like for a company that Jesus, like you drove the product's value to people down so low, it's not worth the money you could make with it anymore. Like it's impossible.
3D printing isn't the problem. You could literally just go buy official licensed kits, new in box, cheaper than you could buy the resin to 3D print.
Because
them.
people are just desperately trying to get rid of it.
Yeah, there's like fucking... It's like the fucking Ark is leaving and they gotta get rid of all this shit.
Yeah.
It'd be an amazing time, though, if you're like a role player looking for miniatures.
Oh, sure, yeah. Like, if you're doing like a steampunk Victorian role-playing game, yeah, there's a lot of minis.
Mm-hmm.
See, I conveniently have all those minis. However, I purchased them at above current price.
Yes. Sell them by the pound. Like, they're just in like a bin, and you have like what looks like an ice scoop. And you're just like, how many do you need? And you just rake in and just pour them into like a brown paper sack.
Yeah. Well, it's like if you've ever been to Adepticon, they sell they sell proxy bases in Chinese takeout containers.
Yep.
And the only restriction is it's $3 for a small container, $5 for a large container. The box has to be able to close. That's the only restriction. So I can just imagine people that like there's a barrel of like Kador minis and they just like get the ice cream scoop and they're like shoveling it in. They're like punching them down, like trying to wedge them in there. It's like, yep, pewter figs.
Oh man, these are pro painted though. Yep, get them in the box.
Yeah. Oh, I gotta read this one.
Did you find some rules?
This is probably the most interesting question I've seen, which is completely irrelevant to the game, though. I mean, it doesn't really matter, but functionally it's kind of funny. Can't imagine this is a good question.
I love this. I don't know what this is a panel from a comic. It's Green Lantern landing on this island, and Batman's already there, and he says, and Green Lantern goes, "Dinosaur Island?" And Batman goes, "I love dinosaurs." And he goes, "You love dinosaurs?" He goes, "Of course I love dinosaurs." He goes, "Batman loves dinosaurs." He goes, "I have a giant dinosaur in my Batcave." Oh yeah. How long has that giant dinosaur always been drawn in his Batcave, and no one's ever connected that he just likes dinosaurs? Like, how is that?
Mm-hmm.
Like, under what circumstances did he ever have the opportunity to have a giant dinosaur fight? He must just like dinosaurs.
Well, Batman has the mental capacity of like a 14-year-old, so of course he likes dinosaurs.
Yeah, he just likes dinosaurs.
All right, you guys ready to start? Anything you want to talk about before we get going?
Not necessarily.
All right, let's do it. Wait, I need to get timestamp. Timestamp! Timestamp!
All right, I need like 5 minutes to take care of a work thing. It's a work thing I got to do.
Okay.
Brandon, I have 3 shards left. Oh, sorry, three silver promotion credits left before I can 5-star somebody.
Oh yeah. I sent you a funny.
Yeah. That's good. That is good. I like that. Have you seen hashtag scumbag Gandalf? Have you seen that?
No.
How Gandalf was a total scumbag. Here's one. Gandalf tells the party to run so he can kill the final boss in Mordor and gets all the XP. Shows up next session all leveled up with new robes and a new staff. Scumbag Gandalf. Another one. Orcs are going to attack Helm's Deep, so Gandalf rides off to go get his buddies, hangs out with his buddies for a little while, comes back to kill everyone and collect all the XP. Scumbag Gandalf. Yeah. After half of the people are dead, Gandalf comes back. Scumbag Gandalf.
Well, you can't split the XP too many ways.
Right. Scumbag Gandalf.
Did you ever see the Whitest Kids You Know skits about Gandalf?
I've heard of them, but I haven't seen that.
Yeah, they're like a very vulgar comedy troupe from like the early 2000s. They ended up getting an actual like movie made that was officially released in theaters called Miss March. It's pretty funny, but anyway, the skit they used to do was Gandalf raping day, and so they basically all the hobbits and Gandalf are back in the Shire, and they're like reflecting on it's basically right at the end of the Return of the King, and he's like, well, that all went according to plan, and then they just break down into like completely over the top, like losing their minds, tears and screaming. And there's like, they don't know how to handle everything that's just happened to them. And then one of them just drops to his knees and is like, Boromir! And he's like, well, you'll get over it. Like, it was a sad time, but, it had to be done. And he's like, and what was up with those eagles? They just, like, showed up and saved everybody. It's like, well, the eagles are very powerful. Like, it's like, I think you made us do all that for no reason. He's like, I don't know what you're talking about. That's ridiculous. And then the guy drops his knees. He's like, Boromir! He's like clearly broken up about Boromir. And then anyway, so they eventually get to the point, it's like, why didn't you just have the eagles come get us and drop us off? Or just give the ring to the eagles? Like, well, eagles can't be trusted. And then there's like a cawing noise. He's like, oh shit. Like he ducks. He's like, did they hear me?
Eagles can't be trusted.
And so they get to the point where they're like, no, I think we should beat the shit out of this guy. This guy's a total fraud. And he's like, hold on a second. He like does like the wizard, like hold up the staff, and like the lights dim and everything. And they're like, oh, okay, maybe he's a real wizard. Never mind. I didn't realize. And the guy's like, no, there's just a string going to the light switch. He was just turning the lights off. And he's like, oh. And then Frodo pulls out a lead pipe. He's like, I got a lead pipe that says this bitch ain't magic. And they literally just beat the shit out of him. And then it goes on to a monologue, and it explains how every day for the next year they tortured and raped Gandalf within an inch of his life, except for one day a year where they nurse Gandalf back to health, which is what's called Gandalf Raping Day, because that one day is what allows them to have all of the Gandalf torture the other 364 days.
That's awesome.
It's pretty funny. Yeah. My favorite part is when he just pulls out the lead pipe. He's like, I got a lead pipe that says this bitch ain't magic.
I got a lead pipe that says
beat the shit out of him.
I got a lead.
He's like, I did not foresee this.
I got a lead pipe that says this bitch ain't magic. That's good.
Yeah. So that's how you fight wizards. You just pull out a lead pipe and claim they're fraud. I only need one more character. I can go into Dark Dimension 4 in Strike Force. One more. Which probably means like Friday. I'll be in Dark Dimension.
Nice.
I think I'm going to do Mr. Sinister next. Oh, I think he's back.
So the kitchen is
You gotta
flooding.
go.
I'm waiting. I basically have a phone call. I'm waiting on one more thing, and then I can't really do anything beyond that. So I'll be done with the situation. But I've got like a server that's been there since 6 o'clock, emptying water on a drain that's been flooding. Nobody told me. I knew nothing about it until just fucking now.
Is it backing up into the building, or it's just not draining?
It's backing up. Like there's water coming out of a drain on the
water's
second
coming
floor.
up out of a drain.
Yeah.
Oh.
And I'm like,
same problem we have at the store.
so somebody has to be doing something to cause it to be flooded. I'm like, what's going on?
So what happens to us when that happens is the drain pipe leaving the building broke under the parking lot, and the groundwater is backing up.
Could be.
So because so that's what happens to us. I don't know if it's the same thing.
Yeah. But
yeah.
Maintenance was called, and they're like, well, we told someone they'd come out and help you. You know, we can't do anything. I'm like, fuck that shit, man. I got a fucking server sitting there doing all this shit. Get the fuck in the building, you fucking dickheads. Like this get the fuck out of here. Like,
we're calling a 24-hour plumber, and you're gonna get docked to pay for it if you don't fucking come in.
Yeah, you fucking
this is
dickhead.
literally your job.
Seriously. But at some point they should have contacted either me or my boss and said, hey, this is out of control.
Yeah, but they just ignored it until it was a serious problem.
Well, I guess. I have no idea. Like, I don't know at what point was maintenance called. There's some pictures. Yeah, I
remember that one time Scott sent me the picture of it raining. That was pretty funny. It's like, it's raining, but it's not raining, because that's just water coming out of our building.
Yeah, so they just got a shop vac attached to it, and he's just sucking water out of it, and then emptying the shop vac, and then sucking water out of it, and emptying the shop vac. I'm like, what the fuck? So I told them to have that employee call me, let me know what's going on, but I got my boss involved, so this will be the last thing once he calls me. And then I'll be fine. I mean, there's nothing I can fucking do. Certainly not me. But had I known I had an employee there emptying a bucket of water, I would have taken care of that. You could have
dealt with this 2 hours ago.
Yeah, I would have told my boss already and had this shit going. Like, stupid. Put a maintenance man there. That's why they're there. Fucking do your job. Not my, server. It's like, bless his heart.
So you need to do another phone call is what you're saying?
I mean, he may or may not call me. I told him to, but we can continue and then potentially pause it. I don't know. Again, I'm shocked that I fucking saw the message. It's on silent. Mm-hmm. I mean, my boss is also involved now, so we're very likely to not hear anything. I mean, yeah, he hasn't called me back yet, so.
Okay. All right, well, let's go ahead and get back into it then. All right, so Parker just finished talking about Miss Marvel, and he asked you what you thought about Miss Marvel joining the game. I'm going to put in a timestamp here so I know where to add this back in. Go. Which one are we starting on?
First, real fast, do you want to pause for him?
Well, I guess we have to now since you talked about it.
Well, I think you should be part of the conversation because they're really cool. I actually wanted to know which. I'm going to review them real fast to find out because there is like a best order for this because of how the discard thing works. Yeah, so Cagliostro is probably last. Oh no, Cagliostro should probably be first. Because then the Shuma Gorath has the interaction. And then Wand of a Tomb is just the Wand of a Tomb. Yeah. Okay, I'll start. Looking at his face right now is pretty comical. It's just like, Jesus, gosh.
Well, it's just answering the same questions that you had to ask like 10 minutes ago. Yeah. And like, why wasn't this dealt with? Why didn't they call you when the store started flooding? Yeah. Like, how many people have died? Like, I feel like we could have prevented a lot of these.
Did you ever watch any Brooklyn Nine-Nine?
Yeah.
So there's the new season coming out soon. So Rosa's talking to Cap, and she says, "Why'd you bring me back there? You want to show me your tramp stamp?" And he goes, "I do not have a tramp stamp." He's like, "Show me your lower back. Prove it." And he goes, "Apparently, I did not know that was a tramp stamp." So he does have one. I love that. That was a good joke.
Yeah. It's weird that there's such a strange collection of characters on that show, but like I can't imagine cutting any of them.
No.
Like all of them are integral to the dynamic of the group. Like Hitchcock and Scully are probably the most cuttable, but they have so much comic.
Yeah.
Like within just them existing.
Oh yeah, one of my favorite bits was the Hitchcock and Scully in the 70s.
Yeah,
like flashback. Yeah, through the like Starsky and Hutch. Like that's That was really good.
And then they found the place called Wing Sluts, and they're like, they just like never left.
Wing sluts.
It's just Hooters.
Yeah. Wing sluts.
They bring your wings in a metal pail. It's like, oh my god, that's so unsanitary.
Oh.
I think one of my favorite episodes is I can't remember the girl's name, but it's one of the more recent seasons, but she gets tangled with the mob. She's like a side character, and she steals all the coke and the guns out of the evidence locker and gives them to this crime boss.
Uh-huh.
And they're like trying to figure out who did it, and she's like the worst actress in the history of the world. It's like,
she can't hide it.
Oh man, what's going on? Everything's so crazy today.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, and then later on in the episode, Hitchcock is like, all right, I know something, but you'd have to not ask me how I know it. He's like, what's her name? Stole the coke and the guns. Yeah, she's acting super suspicious.
Yeah.
So good. I left my debit card at a Taco Bell.
Wait, what? Really?
Well, rather they didn't give it back to me, and I was too busy and didn't realize because I was fucking tired.
So, did you get back?
Oh yeah, I realized it yesterday, so I locked the card and I checked where I had been, or when I last used it, and I was like, yeah, that sounds about right. And so I called them today, and they're like, yeah, we got your card, so I'm gonna go get it tomorrow.
Okay, that's done.
Did you have fun?
No. I'm so mad at so many people right now.
All you sons of bitches are getting fired as soon as I get back.
The one who failed is the maintenance guy. The maintenance guy is super failed. Like, this is real bad. I'm really
This
pissed.
is the exact situation that you need an air block on your drains for, like, dishes and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, it's just funny. Most people don't know what that is, but I had to figure it out. All right. Parker's about to read through the tactics cards.
Go for it.
Go. We got it in, guys.
We did.
First libertarian podcast.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Who says we're not political?
You can be
we're political. We're just only one
too.
way on the political.
Yeah.
Oh, these dials go to 11.
Brandon, I do think you would like this series.
No, I think I would. It actually sounds pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Yeah, I think Doctor Strange is... I think at first people are going to be very excited to play him, and people will give him a try, and it'll be a lot like Jeremy playing the other Doctor Strange, where he's like, I don't know, I just don't like him. I'm just not getting it. And I think the problem is going to be they're using daggers way too much. Mm-hmm. I think you're going to have to get him in the middle, and he's going to have to start using his bolts to get more power. Because if you do the math, Pierce versus a 6th die, I think Pierce is actually better.
Mm-hmm. When he has rerolls, so if for some reason... If it's a low roll and there's
getting
no
the rerolls plus Pierce, like getting that wild is a big deal. Mm-hmm. Also, like him getting attacked isn't that big of a deal because his defense kicks in.
Yeah. I think,
and then you access Shining Circle becomes a possible option, although I don't think it's very good.
I think as soon as people start figuring out Shuma Gorath and with him, it's gonna be very dumb.
Yeah.
Just
also don't forget that what's it called? The Chosen of called blah blah blah.
Cagliostro.
No. What's it called? Mordo's ability to add dice.
Oh yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, because you can use that on Doctor Strange as well, which probably seems counterintuitive at first, but he could potentially then use Shining Circle to heal the damage. But the big part is that potentially let him roll a 7 dice piercing attack is really good, or just an 8 dice daggers at long range if you can find somebody that's weak to a specific damage type.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
I kind of wish this Doctor Strange was not in Convocation, because I'm not as excited to play Convocation, because I'm really excited with this Doctor Strange.
Yeah, I don't think they'll let either of them in the other faction. I think they're
Right.
going to avoid that if all possible, because there's a lot of Doctor Strange cards that would not be okay with this Doctor Strange. Or just not okay in general in Convocation. Yeah, I don't think either of them will be in the other.
What I really want to put him somewhere else, but there's just MODOK exists.
Yeah. Well, MODOK doesn't move friendlies, so there's that.
I think he does something different than MODOK. I don't think it's exactly the same. But you'd have to really, really want what he does that MODOK doesn't do. And if what you want to do is kill people, then MODOK does that better.
Yeah, MODOK kills people real good. Cool. All right. Well, let's go ahead and wrap it up.
Yeah, I'm standing up so that I don't fall down unconscious because I am. Did you see me falling asleep in my chair?
I did not.
Yeah.
It's probably because we waited 45 minutes for Jeremy to do all kinds of work shit.
That's because his shit's flooding and he's got
the
servers.
flood is done.
Because he's got his servers bailing ship.
Yeah.
It's fucking midnight. They got off work at 7.
So
they've been there for 5 hours.
He was there for hours bailing water.
And nobody told you until now?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my god.
Jesus. I'm sorry. I actually, when you said that, I pictured him being done at 10, wrapping up everything at 10 o'clock. He was there for 4 hours of his day.
5 hours extra.
5 hours of his day bailing water.
Here's the kicker is maintenance should have come and checked it out and taken care of it. Those people are on fucking call for that stuff. They called and the guy said, well, there's nothing we can do. The P1 will be there to clean the pipe. We can't do anything besides that. I'm like, you fuckers. I'm like,
you could do what this guy is doing and getting paid overtime to do that you're paid to do.
One of them's salary, like myself. If it was a giant meeting, I mean, it's just so fucking stupid.
It's almost like there's policies in place to prevent this exact situation.
Yeah, there'll be an incident tomorrow. I'm going to go in.
I yell at people. There was something I learned at the FAA that I have taken to heart so much in my everyday life, which is don't keep secrets. Don't be a fucking CW show. If there's the store's on fire, but I'm just not going to tell anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And it sounds stupid when you say it like that. But for example, the store is flooding. Nobody said anything. I've come into work and had 2 inches of water in the store, and nobody told me. And there's I figured you noticed when you came in. Why didn't you tell me? I could have done. There's so many things I could have done that are not be here right now. And so yeah, there's all kinds of stuff. When you make a deal to sell something to somebody, don't not tell people that there's gonna be some guy coming in that I'm supposed to hand $1,400 to. Tell me. Because somebody just comes in and asks for $1,400, I'm going to tell him he's a dipshit and get out of the store.
Yeah. So the kicker is the executive director is in charge of the building. So anything happening where we don't have an answer to it and things are getting destroyed, i.e. water's leaking into the fucking room below it, 4 hours, no one told her. I'm like...
Exactly.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Because that guy's up well, I thought I was handling it. It's well, you aren't qualified to make that call. You need to pass this up the chain. If a fluid is filling a space that you are occupying, you need to inform other people.
Yeah.
I love that.
And he did. He informed the front desk. The front desk then informed maintenance. And maintenance said, well, here's a bag of dicks if you want to eat that.
Call the service number, good night.
Call the police.
Because if they had told them at 7, it wouldn't have been a big deal for them to check it out, because they were probably just getting off work not that long ago.
And they're also on call. That's their job.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. Who gives a shit? They're on call, right?
On call isn't pick up the phone and tell me what you feel about coming in. It's be here.
Yep.
All right.
Your bag.
All right, let's go ahead and wrap this up.
So.